back to episode 6 of the 3 Points podcast. I'm here with Luke as always.
Hello guys, what's up?
What a lot of things to talk about this week.
Yeah, we're back,
A lot of things to talk about this season. Well, this week as well, of what's happened this season. Well, first of all, we'll get into the Premier League table between you and
I
Marc,
can't
where
wait to see this, because
we're predicting things. Do you want to quickly, in case anyone's tuning in that hasn't...
a little detail. So I'm going to explain every
yeah.
episode till we get a decent enough following that understands, because we do get our new viewers. And also, before we get into this episode, a big shout out to the last 2 episodes, doing really well on the YouTube. Guys, if you haven't already, subscribe, like the video, because it does mean a lot to us. It's just 2 lads talking about the thing they love. But yeah, we'll dive into the league table. Pretty much this season, guys, me and Marc have a little bit of a bet on. So we're predicting the results. So how it goes, if you get 3 points for the correct score and the win,
Winner, yeah,
and then you get 1 point if you get the win. So say, for example, I predict 2-1 for Liverpool, and they do win 2-1, I get 3 points. If they win 3-1, then only get 1 point.
Yep.
But to sum it all up,
at
the end of the season, whoever finishes bottom has to wear the opposition's team. So Marc has to wear the Chelsea shirt, and he has to post it on his official Instagram, 3 Points Podcast Instagram.
And vice versa for Luke if he loses. But at the moment, so far, each week
it's been back and forth.
Switching between Luke being on top, me being on top. So we'll get straight into it. So Wolves ended up beating Palace 2-0. I voted 1-0 to Palace. Luke said 2-1 to Wolves. Yeah. Luke got that one correct.
Fuck yes, boys.
Sheffield United lost to City 1-0. I voted 3-0 to City. Luke voted 4-0 to City, so it wasn't any goals in that, but you know, they still won the game, so we both got the 1 point for that. Burnley versus Chelsea. Chelsea won 3-0. Luke predicted 2-1 to Chelsea. I predicted 5-0 to
Man, you actually
Chelsea.
had a good prediction on that game.
Yeah, I was 2 goals off, but you were 1 goal off if you think about it. You take away the...
yeah, it's true.
Well, you take away, you know, but... So that happened. Liverpool versus West Ham ended up 2-1 to Liverpool. I predicted 3-1. Luke predicted
Let's go,
2-1.
boys!
So he got the 3 points.
You're wearing that shirt.
Oh, man. Aston Villa versus Southampton ended up 4-3 to Southampton. I predicted 2-2. Luke predicted 1-0 to Southampton. So, yeah, he got that one.
Let's go.
Newcastle versus Everton ended up 2-1 to Newcastle. We both predicted Everton to win. I predicted 2-1. Luke predicted 3-1.
What a poor game.
Arsenal versus United. What was it?
1-0?
Arsenal won 1-0. Yeah, no, I just had I was reading something else. So I was like, why did I write that? Luke predicted 1-1. I predicted 2-1 to United. Also, in your prediction, you said that's why I stumbled. You said that United would dominate the midfield. But that was in your prediction.
Out, boys.
Fulham versus West Brom. Ended up 2-0 to Fulham. Luke predicted 0-0. I predicted 1-0 to Fulham. 2-0. Yeah, 2-0. Tottenham versus Brighton ended up 2-1 to Tottenham. 3-0 to me, I guessed that. And Luke guessed 3-1 to Tottenham. So we both got that correct. Leeds versus Leicester. I predicted 3-0. Luke predicted 3-2. That ended up 4-1.
What a crazy game that was.
And so he got that one correct because he predicted 3-2 to Leicester, which leaves the table at Luke on top with 24 points and me second with 22.
Every week. I swear it changes every week.
Every week. And it's going to be nail-biting all the way to the end.
I really don't want to wear that shirt, man. I'm not wearing it on the inside. I refuse.
Oh, man. Yeah.
Should we dive into this week's games?
Yeah, let's dive into this week's game. Do you want to take...
I'll take away the first game. What game do you want to cover first today?
Oh, well, let's go in order. You've got a nice little...
See, boys, I came prepared this week. We'll dive straight into actually the Southampton game because we watched that game live, and I honestly thought this was probably the game of the week for me that I watched personally. I know the Leicester and Leeds game was also a very good game, but lads, if I could grab your attention, pretty much it was worldies galore this game. We had Ward-Prowse scoring 2 absolute banging free kicks. Like, mate, I'm talking about insane free kicks. We had Danny Ings scoring a banger from outside the box. So we'll dive straight into this. Pretty much, Southampton really made the game look easy. They took it straight to Villa. Villa just looked really, really poor in the defense. I don't know what happens with them. It seems that the good starts to the season they had has kind of dipped in form now. And the question I pose to you, Marc, is that elephant finally falling down the tree? I said it last week, and it's happened again this week. So, your thoughts?
Yeah, well, it's a good start for Villa that they don't want to finish like they did last season towards the bottom half of the table. They picked up a good run of form, and now it's a test of their mental strength. Now that they've lost a few games or dropped a few points, they need to, they need to start getting back and picking up
100%.
those W's, picking up some draws. None of us thought that they'd do as well as they did, but it just shows that, mentally there's a lot of things that come into the the hands of football when you think about it, like the mental strength
100%.
of players.
Mental side.
When you get a setback, when you lose a game,
how do you bounce back from that? How do you respond?
How do you bounce back from that? And that really sets aside the champions who win leagues and win titles and win trophies to teams that finish in like the bottom half of
because in that game, I'm sorry to cut you off there. In that game, Southampton took a 4-0 lead at one point. It was a 56 minute and they were 4-0 up. And quite comfortably.
Villa scored their first goal in the 61st.
It was just a rip. But to be fair to Aston Villa, and this is what I do like about them, they don't give up. They kept going to final whistle. Grealish.
I mean, 4-0, you
could have packed up and said, boys, let's just hold here. 4-3 was the final result for those who didn't know. Grealish coming back with a pretty much worldy assist and a worldy goal.
And a penalty. Yeah, they get a penalty. And he didn't take the penalty, did he? Watkins. But he did that. He caught the keeper off guard. But Alex McCarthy had a wicked game in the second half. He pulled off some great saves. Villa were at points unlucky to not make it 4 or not even maybe snatch a win, and that's why you need to have a strong 100%. Keeper in a team, because they can win you 3 points.
We won't go into that too yet, but look at the Kepa MENDY situation. So
Mendy's turned you 100%. Around, and that's the biggest thing.
But focus on this game. I do want to go into a bit more detail about the free kicks, because the first free kick taken just outside the box, James Ward-Prowse grabs the ball, puts it down. He's only going one way with that free kick, isn't he, Mark? Top bins. Yeah. Now, when we were watching this live, I actually called this free kick that was going in. I did say top bins, and it went top bins. And then I think it was about 20 minutes later. I don't even know how long ago it was later, to be honest. But then they got another free kick.
Nearly identical position,
but a bit more central this time.
Yeah, a bit more central.
Whipped straight into the top net. Just beautiful side netting. A beautiful struck free kick. And I think that proves, because he does it for England as well, James Ward-Prowse, it shows you how much this guy practiced those free kicks.
Yeah.
So boys and girls, you're out there and you're practicing your free kicks. But you got to get him that level, because that's the only way you're beating keepers in the Prem.
Exactly. And, I've on the other episodes of the show, people have heard my love for Emi, and I must admit, none of those, you could put in a world-class keeper. Every shot and every goal Southampton got, no keeper saving that.
They were just worldies.
They were just top bins, literally. You'd have to be told that ball's going there to know. Dive there. No one can dive. And that's just credit to Southampton. And the shots
for example,
they
Ings'
made,
goal. So Danny Ings got the ball on the side, left wing, cuts in with the right foot, straight top bins, and it was that game where it felt so exciting to watch as a neutral, because it was just the goals that were scored with such quality. And like you said, the keeper couldn't do nothing about that. There's no way you're saving that top bins effort.
Yeah, and it kind of, those sort of games, those sort of goals makes me wish there were fans in the stadium, because they would have loved seeing those sort of free kicks. 100%. And they're goals that go down in at the end of the season when they compile all the best goals of the season. All 4 of those are in for a shout. Yeah.
I just feel like that game, for me, Villa just looked really, really lackluster at the back. They looked really poor in defence, especially in the set pieces, the way they set up. In the first goal that Shea Adams got, they were lucky that it was an offside. The way it got broken down for you guys at home, they didn't really know. So he ended up being offside because he interfered with play, and there was no way that he could get the ball out without, obviously, it being, he was offside in an offside position. The deflection came off Shea Adams to go in. So it was given offside. And they got lucky with that, and then straight after, the ball was just in front of the corner, not that far out, whipped in, and it was just Van der Gaard getting a bullet header, similar to Zuma's, quite similar with power, but the zonal marking, this is why I always question zonal marking. When you are zonal marking, you have to communicate, you have to say, he's coming in, that's your man, right? Even though you're marking the zone, that guy's coming into the zone, you now have to follow that man.
Yeah.
You don't just stand there and that's what Villa did.
You need to have some sort of plan and idea as to why
you're know what zone you're marking to follow that player, because as soon as that player enters your zone, that's now your man.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean you let that man run past your zone and get into the which is what Van der Gaard did.
Yeah.
And then bullet header. So that was the first goal. And then obviously the other goal was coming from James Ward-Prowse. And then sum all the game up for you guys. Grealish then scored, Watkins and Mings. and it ended up being 4-3. A very exciting game for the neutral fan.
Yeah.
But anything else you want to add to that game?
No, I really do like what you said about how you gave credit to Villa for not giving up. But when you're looking at that game and you look at the results and it goes, 4-3, it
doesn't really paint
how you saw the first half. Yeah, how you saw the first half. It was
we
all
thought we might
Southampton.
Be I did say Villa would get a goal back because you can't deny the quality of Barkley, Grealish, Watkins. But, yeah.
And Southampton were playing that good. Don't you remember? We were both talking about saying like this could go.
These guys were looking,
7.
mate. Because I think the results they've gone on, especially drawing against Chelsea, and then with these results they've had in the past couple of weeks, I think going into the game against Villa, they felt quite confident. Obviously, the no fans thing we talk about every episode, but we're going to keep talking about it because it's a big thing. And I think Southampton now are on this up form, but like you said,
it's kind of like Villa. If they pick up a loss somewhere, and depending on how they lose, they've got to have that mental strength to just go right next week. All right, put that result behind us. Next week we go straight ahead into try and pick up another 3 points. But I think that's where Villa kind of fell down. They've had a great start. They should have continued on it if they wanted to finish like mid-table, top 8. But at the moment it shows that they're not mentally there to kind of.
I don't think they're a team. Obviously, start of the season we talked about them. It was a bit of a meme, them being at the top of the table, and doing well with Everton. But I think it's now shown that there's reasons why these top 6 clubs are always in the top 6 or around the area, just because they're experienced in that area. They know how to bounce back from defeats. They have a certain management in place. I'm not saying the odd Leicester season can't happen again because I do believe it can happen at any time.
And if it was to happen,
it would have been this season. It will be this season. If a random team wins outside the top 6, this is a season to go grab it with 2 hands.
Yeah.
But in saying that, we'll move on. Move on to the Newcastle-Everton game, which we also watched live, which was a 2-1 to Newcastle, sorry. Everton again. I don't know what it is, just looking poor. To me, they did not look good.
Yeah.
They were bored. They bored me. I don't know if it's because they were missing James Rodriguez, that creative player in the midfield. I mean, on the wing, be able to whip the balls in. But, give me your thoughts on that game, Mark.
Yeah, it's kind of identical to Villa. They had a great start. They looked really good at the start of the season. Then they, it kind of turned when they drew against Liverpool. Yeah. And Richarlison got sent off. I'm not saying it's because they've missed Richarlison, but ever since then they've kind of dipped. You need to have to sustain a good position in the league. You need the mental.
Because
I keep saying it because
though. And I do agree what you're saying because this is 2 defeats in a row now for Everton. They lost against Southampton last week, and then they lose again today. This week when it was recorded, and it was the manner they lost. And I know the VAR came into it, and we'll get into that in a couple minutes. But I feel like they just didn't show any class, any difference, any desire or passion to really take that game to Newcastle. It was kind of a very boring game. And if you watched Ancelotti's reactions on the sideline, he was you could see he was upset. He was disappointed. What are you watching out there? I think when we talk about Rodriguez, I'm not overhyping him. I think he's such an incredible player for that team, and I think he offers that end product that they don't have without him. Calvert-Lewin is only the player he is when James Rodriguez is there, in my opinion. Because those balls that are coming in, it creates the threat.
Yeah, well, you see Everton, especially in the summer, how ambitious they are. They went out and signed Alan Doucouré, James Rodriguez. I think if they go out in January and sign some players and they kind of build that team around James Rodriguez, sign those extra couple players, they'll finish in a good spot. But so far, they're looking, at the beginning of the season, they look good. They now need that leadership, that guy who can come in and see out results and keep everyone on track and motivate them on the 100%. Pitch. The manager can only do so much from the sidelines before and half time. They need that's why captains back in the 90s and the Rio Ferdinand to Terry's, they do the manager's job on the pitch and they keep everyone 100%. In line. 100%. They make sure that they do their jobs well. That's what Everton are missing, in my opinion. They need that person that can just lead that team.
100%. And the thing about that game for me was as well, obviously, they got hard done by the penalty. Did you see the penalty that happened, or were you at that time in the toilet all the way? Because I know we're watching it live. We might have been mucking around the cameras. Yeah, so the penalty was pretty. So Andre Gomez has gone to clear the ball, has clopped Callum Wilson on the back of the leg.
Right. Yeah.
It's a bit light, but it's definitely a foul. But the thing for me is, and this is where VAR gets a bit obviously we'll talk about it later in the episode, but it gets a bit shaky for me. Is that if that's called right, it's where's the intent? It is a foul. but the intent is to clear the ball. And if you watch Andre Gomez, he doesn't look at the player once. He looks at the ball, and he's actually injured himself after a little bit because he's kicked the player in the back of the leg, and it's hurt him as well. And Wilson's gone down quite easily, to be fair. But it's this season. VAR has given them that penalty. They took it. They grabbed the 1-0 lead, Wilson did, and they pressed on. And I think that early goal for Everton was a real blow. I think that's what deflated them a little bit. And then obviously Wilson again scoring in the 81st minute to make it 2-0 before Calvert-Lewin had an early chance to get a goal in about I think it was the 87th minute. Ball came through, split the midfield from your former man, Iwobi. Played great wing play from him, cuts in, plays a really good pass into the box. Calvert-Lewin, just wide of the post. But for them, he then pressed on, scored in the 91st minute, grabbed a nice goal. So I do give credit to Calvert-Lewin. He's one of those strikers for me. I think he always gives incredible work rate, always in and around the box. He's your number 9 striker. He's a big physical striker, gets in the air. So I'd have to give my hats off to him. But for me, it's another boring game from Everton. I think Everton right now, they need to pick up their form because going into the next week's fixture against Man United, with Ole out there with something to prove right now, fair to say, it's going to be a tough game next week.
That's going to be so unpredictable, and I hope that it's going to be enjoyable because
we did talk about it off air. That United-Everton game is going to be it's going to be a real, hopefully, good game to watch because we've got a manager with his job on the line potentially.
Yeah,
and then we've got Everton looking to claw back their form and make a statement by beating United. So
yeah, I swear to God, if this is like another 0-0 or
if
some
it's like a Chelsea
game,
United game, I'm not down to watch that.
It's got to be. It's one of those seasons. It's one of those games where it's going to be so crucial for Ole and it'll be crucial for Everton. But I think I read somewhere as well that United haven't beaten Everton since 2017 at Goodison Park.
Really?
So they've got that sort of stat on their side, and
I think that's a big worry right now. I think United fans especially are probably worried right now.
I think Everton's going there with the more
100%.
confidence because they're sitting in a comfortable spot on the table, higher than what they would have
thought they would be at the
so
start
far.
of the season. Yeah.
United are sitting 15th. They've got a point to prove. Everton, if they lose, they've lost against United. It'll be an interesting game. If they can beat United, that could be something again to build on for Everton. They could pick up the confidence again. James Rodriguez might return for that United game, and
he'll be a key player for that game if he does return.
He could be a big turning point.
100%. So we'll move on to the next game now. We'll touch upon the Liverpool-West Ham game. Now, I predicted this game right. Let's go. I knew. I'm sorry, I'm going to brag a little bit here. I knew without Van Dijk, they're going to be sloppy at the back. And me and Marc, before going on air tonight, had a bit of a conversation about this. And Marc, I'll let you take this because I think you had some good points you made in that conversation.
Yeah, we had a look at a league table, and I wanted to see, because I thought United would have the most goals against, obviously losing 6-1.
Yeah,
but
we thought, surprisingly,
top of the league, Liverpool have the second most goals against,
behind goals this season.
Behind West Brom, who are 18th, third bottom in relegation zone. They have a +2 goal difference. Liverpool have scored 17 this season. Conceded 15. And that, to me, just shows that their attack is insane.
You can see where the focus is right now.
Yeah. And why wouldn't it be? Because you've got Sane. Mane. I always say that. Mane, Salah, and Firmino, and Jota
we'll
as
get
well.
Into him because he is our baller.
Yeah, he's been brilliant. Again, 7 of those goals against them were against Villa. And other than that, they're still conceding a lot, but Liverpool have no problem scoring.
No. And I think for me, it's due to the shaky defence. I think without Van Dijk being there, and I think at the moment they've got Arthur Phillips filling in or something like that, filling in. And I'm not saying he's a bad player at all, but I think without, and I said it last week and I'll say it again, without Van Dijk and that leadership at the back, and I've never said Van Dijk wasn't a good defender. I think he's the best defender in the league. And you guys can disagree with me, but I think he's the best defender in the league. And I think he's a big, big miss that Liverpool back four. But in saying that, I think Klopp has realised this and gone, okay, well, if I can focus my strengths, which are my attack, and I can get them outscoring every team we verse, that will never be an issue. And it's clearly been proven they've conceded 15 goals this season. They're still top of the table with a +2 goal difference. Like you said, West Brom bottom, and they're only 1 goal more conceded. So 2 goals more conceded. So it just blew my mind. But moving on from that, I did want to.
Sorry, quickly. Yeah, that's all right. I just want to say that in January, it would not surprise me if Klopp goes in and loans a centre
100%, yeah.
or buys a centre half just to cover for Van Dijk.
If he's not back, yeah.
If he's not back, because that's what the January window is mainly for.
You need those filling players
goals,
to fill that team and to keep them solidified and strong. 100% agree with that.
100%.
Sorry to cut off there. I did want to talk about Jota. What a signing he has been this season. So, 5 matches, 3 goals in the Premier League. And that's not counting the Champions League. We talk about Champions League.
Did you get a hat-trick?
Yeah, we talk about Champions League. This guy's a certified baller now. And I think, is he now, because he's been on the bench, is he now taking Firmino's position in that side?
I'd take him. I read someone who made a point on the Sky Sports Instagram page, and it got about 2,000 likes. Having Firmino as cam.
Oh yeah, I saw that as well.
As striker.
And I saw that as well. So, and I believe that. I think having Firmino in that cam role, having Firmino in that cam role, and then having Jota forward in the striker position, that number 9 or number 10, whatever it is. I think he would perform really well behind that. I think Firmino's so creative. I think he knows how to involve the wingers, and I think that's what his main job was in that striker position. But I think if you swap that around, like the comments have said, and having him in that cam position, he can be quite creative. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I'd play both of them. That'd be so deadly.
So good.
Jota up front, Firmino setting up all the front 3 of Liverpool's players. That'd be brilliant. I'd try and fit Firmino in somehow, and if that's a way to fit it in, that's what I'd do. But yeah, Jota's had a brilliant start, and if he can do this consistently, that title could still be Liverpool's.
100%.
But they've got to. Oh man! At the moment, it looks like they've just got to outscore their opponent because they're conceding. They've just got to make sure that they can find a way to score. And if, for example, West Ham went 1-0 up front,
and that just shows.
If you park the bus and they can't find a way through, that's drop points.
You can't. When you come against Liverpool this season, just because you get that early goal lead does not mean you can sit back and defend, because they will find a way through there. You've seen them; they go hard. When they concede, they go straight back at you. And yeah, so touch a little bit more on Diego Jota. I've always thought he was a quality player, even when he was at Wolves. I think he's a perfect signing for that squad. I think he's one of those players that plays better with better players around him. I think he excels in that Liverpool side because of who he has around him and the winning. They have such a winning chemistry in a championship team that I think having Jurgen Klopp as his mentor and as his coach, I think he'll coach him in the right direction. I think Jota will become one of those real good players for Liverpool. And yeah, but the goals were coming from Salah. First goal coming from Fornells. A great finish, very composed. Took the ball down in the box, took his time, bottom left bins to make it 1-0 to West Ham. We then had Salah getting fouled in the box, which was a bit weird. So he got fouled, and then I don't know who the player that fouled him was. So you want to check that quickly. Whoever fouled him kind of stood there in disbelief that he didn't get called straight away. And then the referee called the penalty about 5 seconds after, because the defender pretty much stood there and was so guilty that he took him down in the box. It would have been called anyway due to VAR, but it just made me laugh a little bit. But yeah, that gave the penalty to Salah, which he did take and bury down the middle. And then we had Jota scoring the second goal to make it 2-1. And I think he had an incredible run into the box at the time. Ran into the box, lost possession of the ball, came back out. Was a bit of a goal line scramble, which then fell back out to Jota, and it was a great finish into the roof of the net.
Arthur Masuaku.
Yeah. Can you pronounce that, or are you going to butcher it?
No,
I'm
going to butcher it. But what I will say quickly before we
do apologise. We try. We do try.
What I will say quickly before we move on is West Ham, they drew against Tottenham, a big 6. Drew against
they've
Man
had a good
City.
start to the season.
They lost to Liverpool by a goal. There's positives to take from that. Now, the big question is, which it's for every team, is can West Ham go and make sure they beat the sides
they need to beat the winnable
they
games.
Need to beat. There's no point drawing against City
There's
and
no
Tottenham,
point stealing these points.
And then they go and lose to West Brom, those sort of results show that they're a mid-table side. And to be a mid-table side, you have to sustain those results against the smaller sides.
Because they're the points that
league.
matter. Like, for example, taking a point away from Liverpool, Man United, they are big points for you. But if you don't win those easy games, they're irrelevant. They are irrelevant.
Like I said after we beat United, that we need to
press on.
Be consistent now, and we need to beat sides like Villa. We need to beat sides like Leeds if we want to finish in those top 4 spots. But there are positives for West Ham fans to take from that, regardless of the loss. They've lost to the champions, who won it by a mile.
And like, to be fair,
last
2-1 is
season.
not a bad result. I know Liverpool did
not at
dominate
all.
the game, but I'm saying the way how West Ham handled themselves and to not concede 4 or 5 goals against them, I think they did quite well.
Yeah.
They should be proud of themselves.
Exactly,
I think West Ham,
yeah.
if you're a West Ham fan right now, you're not
Not to be
worried.
worried,
You're not
yeah.
worried because
Yeah.
you've done well this season. You grabbed a draw. You grabbed important points on the table. But now it's up to West Ham to go and kick on and take those points they need. Who do they actually have next week? I'm quite interested to see who they have.
They have. Let me have a look quickly. They have.
Because if it is a winnable game,
Fulham.
That's a
Fulham,
winnable game. If they
Sheffield.
don't beat Fulham, then these past results are clueless because it's just like,
Yeah.
what's the fuck?
Yeah. But actually, I do want to ask you a
Go ahead,
question.
mate.
I know we
Ask
haven't
away.
started speaking about Sheffield and City yet. We will get into that. But they drew 1-1 with City, West Ham, and then Sheffield United versus City. City won 1-0. They're not scoring many goals, City, by the looks of it. You know what I mean? Like, is it? What do you think's
What,
missing?
City? I think having Aguero
because-
out for a while fucked them up a little bit. I think Pep's under a lot of scrutiny this season. If he doesn't win the Champions League or even get close to winning the Champions League, I think his tenure's done at Man City.
Again, against Arsenal, 1-0.
Yeah,
I know it's
yeah.
a bigger side.
I just think the
but they're
goals
not-
this season, Sterling's been missing quite a lot. I know he scored, but I think those wingers were so important for them in the midfield. Kevin De Bruyne, your Sterling's, obviously Jesus and Aguero being fit each week was the reason they were banging in so many goals. And even though Riyad Mahrez himself this season has picked up a goal, I just don't think each game their strikers and wingers are performing. I think they did miss Aguero, and I'm pretty sure he came back and then got injured again. I'm not quite sure where Aguero's been. Did he start that game? I didn't watch the Man City game.
I'm not sure, but I'm just going through the results this season for City. They've beat Wolves 3-1. They lost to Leicester 5-2. They end up drawing with Leeds 1-1. They end up beating Arsenal 1-0. They end up drawing with West Ham 1-1. And they end up beating Sheffield United 1-0.
They're not doing well.
They're only scoring one
to
goal.
be fair, City have not had a good start to the season.
But let's have a look at the who started. City, no, they had Torres up front, Sterling and
Yeah,
Mahrez.
so I think Aguero's out.
And
I'm pretty sure he is out
yeah,
injured again.
Aguero's out again. But does
missing
that
him.
mean that they're going to need to?
They're going to need to
you've
sign a
seen-
striker in the summer. In the summer window, the
because-
January transfer window, they're going to need to sign a striker. I believe that's been needed for a while. I think.
And Aguero's
Yeah,
aging.
and I was about to say that. So I think for a while they've kind of need to start thinking about replacing Aguero. His age. I'm not saying Aguero isn't a baller anymore. He's proven. He's a proven goal scorer in the Premier League, and he's there to stay. I don't think the goals are going to end soon, but I'm saying more injuries will come. Age, he gets older, mate. The muscles aren't as good anymore. So
Yeah.
we'll see.
But that's a good segue into the Sheffield United City game.
Actually, going into that game.
Yeah. So what did you think of that? It was 1-0. I
I
thought Rams had
personally,
a
I'm gonna be
brilliant
honest,
game.
I didn't watch the game. I watched the highlights, and for me, you can't really get much on the highlights. So I'm gonna let you analyze this game.
Well, I only watched
As
the
well,
highlights
yes.
as well.
I had a
But
busy
what
weekend, to be fair.
But it showed that City was dominating. They took a lot of shots, a lot of good shots, and Ramsdale kept them in the game.
I
for
feel like
quite some
I
time.
think you have to shout the keeper that game.
Yeah, so it's not as if City aren't creating them. It's kind of like that problem that Arsenal have, where they're not
Taking
being
the
clinical
chances.
enough. Like City, there could have had 4 or 5 goals. Walker surprisingly got the worldie from
Bagged
outside
him and
the
got
box,
that, and that's
you
why he
know?
got his team of the week on FIFA.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, I don't think it's too much to be concerned about City. You just hope that they can start scoring a couple more goals, because especially with like the no crowd things, there's teams like, there's bottom half table teams that are scoring 3 or 4 randomly. and
like
you're
Villa
what
7-2.
the-
I still can't get
Yeah.
over that.
And Southampton being 4-0 up against Villa. Southampton scoring 4. It's not a madness, but it is kind of.
They're on track to beat their record, the most goals they've ever scored in a Premier League game.
Yeah.
So it just
you know-
shows this season has been insane.
So yeah, I think it's going to be a high scoring league. It will be interesting, the goal differences and the for and against towards the end of the season, with all the goals that are being scored, and we're only 5-6 games into the season.
But on that Man City Sheffield game, it was a 1-0 win to City. I do believe that's still 3 points that they're going to take happily. I don't think we
happily.
should be expecting City to batter every team. I think that's the expectation we have them. We hold such a high standard because of Guardiola and his absolute amazing Premier League form in the Prem.
Yep.
So it will be interesting to see how City play the rest of the year out. It will be interesting to see if Aguero is fit soon or if he's out for a while. I haven't really kept up with the Aguero injury, so it'll be interesting to hear about that. Do they sign someone in the window? Like, there's all these questions pondering around that.
Yeah.
Right now, is Guardiola going to stay next season? That's another big question.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Who would you replace Guardiola
That's the thing. I don't even know right now.
I think there's two
I think I know you're going to say.
fantastic managers in the league that I wouldn't bother replacing, which is Guardiola and Klopp. You know, Klopp's definitely not jumping ship.
I think he'll be there. I think he's going to be. I think he'll be a Liverpool legend. Or he already is, but I think he's going to be there for a long time.
Yeah, he's going to be one of those mainstay managers.
Which we haven't seen in the Premier League for quite a while.
But you sack Guardiola. Who are you going to say? Right, I want to sign a manager that's definitely going to win us the Champions League.
It's not like Poch is available because
and
he's not really a proven winner, like I spoke about before the podcast.
Exactly.
He's not a proven winner.
So I mean, the Sheiks at City, I know they won that Champions League trophy, but
then again, Pep himself might want to abandon ship. I know Pep is he's a bit of a weird one.
Yeah.
Similar to Mourinho, loves his 2-season wonders, 3-season wonders, but it's
But
always
you said
Pep's third season. He seems to dip.
You said something to me interesting last night when we were hanging out with the Wenger thing. Don't get too greedy.
Yeah.
What if City fans get too greedy, sack Guardiola, don't realise how good they've got it, and it backfires and it ends up...
Just to touch on Mark's point there for those who obviously weren't there for the conversation. So I said to Mark, I think Arsenal, for so long, was so used to finishing in top 4, it became obsolete to them. I think it meant nothing. But when they lost Wenger and they started, not finishing the top 4 anymore and they were struggling to with results, I think that's when it hit shit. We're not playing Champions League football anymore. And the same thing happened to City. They lose Guardiola. It's like, not playing Champions. We're not even fucking winning the league anymore, boys. Let alone fucking even challenging for the Champions League. I'm not saying I don't have a good squad, but, mate, if you put United squad on paper and City squad on paper and just paper on paper, you'd be like, pretty even teams with the signings they have and the worth of the team.
Pogba,
Rashford,
Martial,
and that's what I'm saying. I think it's how teams are managed, and I think losing Guardiola, he's the reason why Sterling started scoring a load of goals. The reason Sterling really came out of show, I think, is because of Guardiola, and that's when he really started to get his. And I know he still misses 6-yarders in front of goal. He still does it, but he's improved his goal scoring tally under Guardiola. So it'll be very interesting, like I've said before, to see what will happen with Guardiola next season. Will he stay? Will he go?
Yep, exactly. But so it's kind of it's these knee-jerk decisions. Do you want to sack someone? But it could work. It could be a brilliant decision, or it could backfire.
And I'm talking about really backfire on City.
Yeah, you could end up finishing 5th or 6th. It's happened to Chelsea. It's happened to United. It's happened to Arsenal.
Chelsea finished 10th when we sacked Mourinho.
Yeah, you can't say that. Oh well, City have got a great squad. It won't happen to us. You can see United don't look like a team that's even being coached at the moment. And
feels like they're turning up to a
Sunday
league game.
They've got some world-class players, man. Yeah, they've got some world-class players, man. And it would be I don't know, just because you're not winning that look, if they stuck with Guardiola and they said, look, well, they'll eventually win the Champions League.
I think with Guardiola they would, but it's just dependent on if
how soon they want it.
Because if they're wanting it the next season or this season, I honestly don't think it will happen this season. I could be wrong, and prove me if I'm wrong, but I honestly think that it's going to be a while before City do win the Champions League. Not because they can't win it, but I think the pressure on Guardiola right now to win that it's too much for any manager. I think City fans are so... We're going to get slated here, but some of them are so plastic that they lose one game, it's Guardiola's out, all this. I checked their Instagram comments, it's insane. The amount of foreign fans that follow that club and just don't have a fucking clue what's going on, it concerns me a little bit.
Well, I remember, I'm not going to name names, but I remember in primary school there was a guy who used to support Arsenal, and I said something to him on Facebook about Arsenal, and he messaged me back, and he was like, oh, I'm not an Arsenal fan anymore, I support City. And this is just after
they won the league.
The Sheiks took over. Yeah. And it kind of just shows
plastic,
people just jumping ships. I do know some City fans that have been since they were born, but it's also as well you've got people that support United who kind of we spoke about.
Google search. Who's won the most premierships?
Yeah, who's the best team in the Premier League? I'm a United fan. Now they've got to try and put up with all this finishing.
And then you'll see a lot of people jumping from United to City
to Liverpool. And Liverpool, yeah. So, you know, people like that, we've got like friends like Daniel and that who support them since he was a kid, seeing all the bad times that Liverpool have gone through, to see him win the Champions League, win the Premier League. It's rewarding, and that's why hopefully, eventually, when Arsenal win the league again one day, or, you know, win a Champions League, it will be rewarding for me because I've gone through the hard and the dark times at the moment, and it's rather than just going, you know, I'll just go for the team that's winning the most trophies, you know. But yeah, so you got to be invested in a team, I reckon.
100%. So we will progress with the games now. I want to move on to the Tottenham-Brighton game. There's a couple key points in this game I really want to touch on, and that is VAR. So Terry did send in a question pretty much on the Instagram. Shout out at the 3 Points Podcast.
Shout out,
_
Terry.
Make sure you follow that, and also a big shout out to Terry. We love you on this podcast, and we're having you on soon. So we look forward to having you on. But to touch on this question, we'll actually dive straight into that. So the incident he's talking about, which I believe he's talking about, is two. So we had the Kane VAR incident, which is where he was bumped just outside the box. Well, we thought it was outside the box, but then to be given a penalty. And it was a very, very tiny bump on him, where he did flop a little bit, which Mourinho had an amazing post-match interview about that, which we'll touch on. And then the other incident that we had today, or in that game, was Holberg was fouled, but then we all thought, when I watched the game, I thought it was going to get called straight away. Ref let it play on, went back out to the wing, ball crossed in, Lamptey, touch, bang to the bottom bins. It was a great finish, to be honest, with the side foot. Yeah. They didn't VAR check it. The referee dismissed the VAR review, but then when they checked it back, if you look at it, it's a clear foul.
You know my dislike 100%. But that tackle on Højbjerg was a foul.
It came from the back of him.
For the fact that the referee himself actually went over and checked the monitor and still gave
dismissed it. He dismissed the VAR. 100%.
Every day of the week, I don't know why they wouldn't have given it. I thought when the referee, because I was watching that live, and when I saw the ref go and check it, I was like, no, Brighton are going to get done here. They're not going to get the goal, because obviously I'm backing Brighton to get the upset.
Because you would be as an Arsenal fan.
And it was like, nope, it's a goal. And I'm thinking myself, like,
it was pretty disgraceful to watch. And so touching on Terry's question, he's pretty much asking, like, how has it changed the game? And he's saying the handball calls are ridiculous. The offsides are just as bad. The general game calls are just terrible. And he also said, thanks, boys. Keep up the great work. We do appreciate the love.
Shout out,
big
Terry,
shout out again.
Man.
But I just want to quickly say, and I'll pass it over to you in a second. I think the reason VAR is and won't go anywhere for a while is due to these reasons. It brings in viewers to the Premier League. It brings in that viewership, and I think it brings in that controversy, which bad media is good. I mean, bad press is good press. You know what I mean? No matter what the press is, it's good. It gives good content. It gives good following. It brings more fans to the game, which I know everyone thinks everyone watches football, but there's still people out there that don't even know. Like, they know it exists, but don't follow teams, and they can bring players in, blah, blah, blah. But I think that it was so disgusting to see that Holberg won. And I think in the rest of the season continuing, I think you're going to continue, Terry, you're going to continue to see a lot of bad judgment calls. And I think players will start to, and they've already started to switch onto it. You'll see players going down easy in the box, and I was chucking a hand up. We spoke about it when we watched a couple of the games. The Arsenal game, players were shoving hands up every time they fell over in the box. Matic in the box.
Why wouldn't you now with VAR? It's
what's your opinions on
it? It's taking the fun out of it. Again, it bores me to death. VAR, it has to be
Marc
done.
hates talking about VAR, by the way, guys.
It's killing the game, in my opinion. Mind you, though, the handball, that scrutiny of the handball changed after the first episode we ever did. Remember how, like, that whole week there was about 3 or 4 handball calls, and then they changed it the following week.
And to touch on VAR, because it is a question, like, obviously covering the whole VAR thing. Yeah, it's a broad question. So, in the Chelsea versus Rennes game, not sure how to pronounce their team name, Chelsea versus Rennes game, there was a decision that was given to us, which I thought was so cruel. So, pretty much what happened was the ball was deflected off a knee into a trailing arm on the same player, given a penalty. Now, that wouldn't happen in the Premier League now because of the change of the rule. They judge it how serious it is. It's still referee dependent, though. If the referee views it as, like, too harsh, they won't call it. But then again, what's too harsh, like we said in the first episode? Where's the line? You might say one week, Mark, that's too
clear and
harsh.
obvious.
And then I might go, well, in my opinion, it's a pen.
Yeah.
So it's all down to opinion now.
Yeah,
I didn't know
exactly.
football was based on opinion. I thought it was based on facts and
Yeah,
rules.
it's like we were speaking about last week. I can't remember what exactly it was. We spoke about something last week that was clear and obvious that they didn't give, but yet the ones that aren't clear and
do.
obvious, they're
And-
giving
and I've-
decisions and they're drawing
Yeah, so
lines.
I-
It takes a
I
few
found
minutes.
a quote today, or not a quote, but a statement. So pretty much one of the football lawmakers came out and said the Premier League are using and it was at the end of last season he came out with this statement. And he pretty much said, Premier League are using the VAR system wrong. It should only be used for clear, obvious fouls. Not for minuscule offsides, not for minuscule handballs, not for the ball going out, not for fucking 20 minutes after kickoff, after the game ends, to bring back a penalty. Like, they use it so wrong. And to answer your question, Terry, overall, yes, it's going to play a big part this season. I think the state of VAR...
The players are
I think the state of
confused.
VAR is disgusting. I don't think it will change. I think the only way it changes, the whole system gets an overhaul and it has set
Like a
rules
revamp,
and it's revamped. But that won't happen until next season, so there's no point talking about that now.
They are so lucky that there are no fans in that
Oh,
stadium.
mate,
There'd
there would be
rioting.
riots.
They would be
Riots.
Imagine, okay, this is just hypothetical. You know how hostile some like these national fans are. If like there was a World Cup, imagine if a call like this happened in a cup final, World Cup final. A team's gone on a great run. They could have won the World Cup. VAR makes a dodgy call. There would be riots on the street afterwards. There'd be fighting. The hooligans would come out.
It'd be fucked.
And even amongst the crowd, man, you know,
And
they're
English
lucky at
fans
the
are
moment.
they're the diehard of diehard fans. They fucking will fight for their fucking team.
If they had a crowd at that Merseyside derby when Henderson scored that
shouldn't have
goal and it was
got disallowed,
ruled
yeah.
off, imagine the fans in that stadium. The Everton fans would be
Mate,
bantering
police
the
would have a
Liverpool
tough
fans.
night.
Yeah, exactly.
The
So
old
they are.
Popo.
I think when they start allowing fans into the grounds, the FA and the Premier League are going to have an awakening of what the fans
What the
think
fuck is going on?
about the VAR.
They're going to be like, what
Yeah.
the fuck is going on?
Yeah, because I think fans have had enough.
100%. But
Yeah.
to answer your question, Terry, obviously, like I said multiple times, it's going to be used every game this season. So I think you just got to get used to it. And I think players are going to use it for their advantage. Now, to go into the game, Kane did get the penalty, buried it. Great finish. Was it a dive? I'm saying yes.
Yeah, it's been written now. We
Can't read
really
it, but
do
I'm saying
say
yes.
much.
I don't think
Yeah.
it's necessarily. I think he's made the most of the challenge. I don't think it's not a foul because he's come from the back and need him. But I think Kane's definitely made the most of it. He's flopped. He's got the penalty, which was outside the box, but then later reviewed to be inside the box, which I'm still... apparently, if it's on the line, it counts to the penalty, which I've always knew, but I don't know. It was a weird one for me.
Yeah, it would be so silly if managers don't tell their players because it's so how
go down.
inconsistent VAR is. Just if there's a 50-50, go down.
Yeah.
Who knows? We might get a
Never
penalty,
know.
we might not. And I like if I was Mourinho, if I was a manager, I'd say look, VAR is so inconsistent. Just go down.
Flop.
We'll see what happens.
We get a goal. We get a goal.
We get a goal, especially if you're behind, especially if you're trying to get in the lead, you know, or play catch up if you're 1-0 down, you know. So yeah, it's a 50-50. It's inconsistent VAR.
It is bad
and,
because from there,
it still
from that
balls me,
play,
man.
it then led to the foul on Holzberg, which led to the Lamptey goal, which again was a questionable moment, which we just talked about. And then, to be honest, my thoughts on the game. Before we get into that, Bale pretty much bangs it in for Spurs. Last fucking 20 minutes of the game, ball whipped in from Reguilon, a former Real Madrid teammate, on the peach of his head, straight into the back of the net. Bale 2-1, first goal at Spurs. Bale. Since he's been back, he's looking all right. I mean, he's still warming into the Premier League
he's
again.
still...
I think he's looking a bit slow.
Yeah, he's had a slow start, but it depends. Maybe that first
Now he
goal
might
that he
kick
scored
on,
will kick him on. It'll be interesting. They haven't got a hard game next week, I don't think. So they've got West Brom, who have conceded the most goals this season. So if they can go on, I think if they can go and smack them, and Bale gets another goal or two or an assist or has a good game.
But for me, I think Tottenham will struggle now because Brighton, if you looked at the stats or even watched the game, they dominated possession. They didn't really dominate the chances, but they dominated possession. And I think Kane and Son look so tired, bro. They look like they've worked their horse out. Obviously, Son not scoring, which is odd not to say anymore because that guy I swear scores every fucking weekend now. Son didn't get on the score sheet, but Lamela had a shot off the post. It was a good shot, actually. And on his day, he's such a wonderful player to watch, Lamela. I think he gets quite unlucky and he gets a bit of unnecessary stick sometimes from fans, but I think he's such a good player for Tottenham. And I think they use him more and more. He can definitely win them games.
Yeah. Well, I've said from week one that Tottenham have always had a shaky defence, and that's what's going to cost them from winning a trophy. Their attack is very much like Liverpool, except Liverpool did have a great defence before Van Dijk got injured. Tottenham haven't.
Yeah, when they had Alderweireld and who was the other guy? Sorry, Vertonghen, the two Belgian
but
centre-backs.
they've got players like Dyer and that's not that great, and
the best word
they go out. Yeah, they go out. They get Bale. They get. They've got Son. They've got Kane, who are brilliant forwards. Don't get me wrong, but Tottenham. I don't know if they've got that clinicalness about them to like Liverpool, where they've got to outscore their opponents, and they've got to score quickly and hope that they don't concede sloppy goals.
Because I think, like you said there, Mourinho's obviously always been set as a defensive manager, a very defensive-minded manager. So I think leaking goals to them, that's still an issue for them. And you got Mourinho, it's not looking good. But to be honest, Spurs didn't look great, but they bagged the win, which is 3 points, which takes them to, I think, second on the third now.
Yeah, Leicester's second now, yeah. But yeah, I think if Tottenham sign a proper centre half like Company was to City or Terry was to Chelsea, Tottenham
will start looking dangerous, and I think they will start.
It's just their defence they need to fix up, and I think that will fix the spine of Tottenham.
100%. So we'll move on from that game. Pretty much overall score was 2-1, by the way, for those who didn't know, to Tottenham. Move on to the next game, which is the Wolves Crystal Palace game. Oh, no, sorry, the Leicester Leeds game. The Leicester Leeds game. My bad, guys. So the score for that game was 4-1 to Leicester. What a fucking game.
And who dominated that game?
Leeds.
Yeah, that result wouldn't say
you wouldn't think that, but Leeds really did dominate the stats. If you guys really watched that game, Leeds just got really, really unlucky. I don't think they necessarily played bad. I just don't think they defended well. I think they did similar things to Chelsea versus West Brom when we conceded 3. I think it was 4 goals that were very sloppily conceded, especially in the conditions. Started the game really well, looking bright for Leeds, getting the ball into Bamford. Bamford, as much as I shout him out every week, he missed a sitter, mate. 6 yards out, head on the ball, no one on him, no one marking him, and straight into the keeper's hands.
Yep, they have conceded 13 and scored 13 in 7 games.
Leeds? Yeah.
Leeds. So their defence is the only questionable thing.
And I think that's fair to say. They're a championship side. They have a championship defence. Pretty much a championship team.
They've come up. Like you look at West Brom and Fulham, they've not done anywhere near as good as Leeds. I think if they can finish it around mid-table and then they go out and they start signing some defenders and they fix that defence, that would be big for them. But yeah, like you said, it was a defence that was shaky and leaky, and that's why Leeds couldn't
100%
get much from that.
But from that, pretty much, it was great link-up play. Vardy, again, showing his unselfishness, stealing the ball, passing it to Barnes, taking it around the keeper, then passing it to Barnes to score his first. And then we had Vardy, a header, deflected into the path for Tielemans for the second.
Vardy
was really involved in this game.
But he was a late bloomer.
What, in football in general? He came from
because he wasn't like a 20.
He was 20.
He was like a 22-year-old hot prospect.
Or 28.
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but I do believe he was 27, 28 when he broke into the Leicester side.
Yeah.
It shows you, even Kante is quite old when he got picked up in professional football.
Yeah.
Around 24, 23.
It shows like he wasn't a prospect or anything like that. He just decided
work rate. It's work rate and it's working hard, and you can achieve anything.
And he's a good leader.
Yeah, and talking about Vardy, so obviously had the header deflected into the path of Tielemans for the second, and then he also grabbed a third one, which was beautiful taken. It was a pass from under to Undy. I don't know how to say his name. It's under, but it's pronounced obviously with a foreign abbreviation on it, and I can't do that. I'm sorry, guys. I'm not good with my words sometimes.
It's under,
under, but it's pronounced a bit more extravagantly, but I can't. So we won't try it. But yeah, under, passing it straight through to Vardy, which he got a goal. And mate, Vardy, I just want to talk about him real quickly. I think, and I said it in the first episode, he's so key for that Leicester side. I think he shows the hunger. He looks good. But to me, Leicester really looked good on the attack. The counter-attack, they're so quick.
Yeah.
Like, they are so quick, and I think I really rate them this season. But to throw it back to Leicester, I think Hernandez, I think that's how you say his name, was robbed of a wonder goal. So pretty much the ball came down, a touch of class to take around 2 defenders, and then a shot which hit the top stanchion, the crossbar. Mate, it was going top bins. It would have been a goal of the season. Honestly, Puskas Award nominated because, mate, the way he took it down, the control, the composure, to then try just the way he finessed into the top bins. I know it was blocked by the woodwork, but you can see my expression now. It was such a good shot. But then it came back out to Maddison, which was obviously the beautiful work in the midfield, which was then the pass to under, which then obviously assisted Vardy, as we said before, to make it 3-1. And then there was a foul on Maddison for the penalty, which Tielemans scores, making it 4-1. Now, I do want to touch on Leeds. We did, before the game started, we did touch on them in the pre-podcast. How do you think they played in general, though? Do you think Leeds... Yeah, Leeds. Do you think they played well? Do you think they were just unlucky? What do you think was their problem in that game?
Again, it goes back to the first week of the season. Leeds are always great going forward. Remember, did they lose 4-3?
Yeah, 4-3 in the first game.
And they were going... What I do like about Leeds is whoever they've gone up against, they've gone toe-to-toe with them, regardless of how big they are. They won't park the bus. They won't go in like very defensively. If they have a shot against them, they'll take the ball off and they'll just go straight at you. Aggressive football. Defensively, they're very weak. They should have got more from that game. The result is very...
It's quite a harsh result. Yeah. To be fair, sorry, I just cut you off quickly. Dallas did get a beautiful goal. It was a free kick and it floated into the back post and it just ended up going in the back of the net. It was a bit of one of those ones where you put it into the danger and you fucking hope for the best, and it went in. So it was a great goal from Dallas. But touching on what you just said then, I have to agree with you. I think the defense was leaky. I think that they need to definitely up that in the signings, in the window coming up. Because, like you just said then, carry on, Leeds. They're a good team, aren't they?
They just build on it, man. They've got Bamford, who could be
a
club legend there.
If he stays there.
He's young. He's
committed.
He's
not
committed
he's
as well.
young in terms of for a Premier League player. He's getting into he's entering his prime years.
Yeah. So, they've got to fix their defence, and I think Leeds have got a good side.
I think Leeds definitely going forward. I don't think they should take this result too harshly. I think if you're a Leeds fan right now, again, same with the West Ham fan, don't be worried. You guys are looking solid.
You've just been promoted.
You've just been promoted. I think the expectations shouldn't be
stay in the league.
I would be happy. If I'm a Leeds fan, I'm happy they don't fucking get relegated. Anything apart from that is a plus.
Yeah, just stay in the league, and then next season is when you start progressing and you keep progressing and you sign and you work on the smaller things.
Building like Wolves out.
Yeah, but they're taking it to City, they're taking it to Liverpool. They're again 4-1. That result's harsh on what the actual game was. But Leeds, they should still be positive about their start and how they're going this season. I think if they just focus a little bit more on their defence, they'd be picking up more W's than they are draws.
100%. So we'll move on from that game. Final result was 4-1 to Leicester. We're now moving into the Wolves Crystal Palace game, which I didn't watch, guys, so I'm going to quickly skim over this. Pretty much, it was a 2-0 to Wolves against Crystal Palace with I don't know how to pronounce his name, so Raheem Nui scoring the 18th minute, and then Daniel Prudence in the 27th, and then Crystal Palace getting a red card in the 86th to Luka Milojevic. I think that's how you pronounce it. Again, guys, I'm so fucking shit with the pronunciations. I will work on it. That is my goal, is to get better, because mate,
you'd see how
these commentators, mate, you got to fucking give them credit, because these names, they got to pronounce foreign names, they got to pronounce Spanish, French, Italian.
Because they call Bruno Fernandes
and it's Fernandes. And how you said in FIFA, they say it like that, and
I thought that's bollocks, but then I googled it, and that's how he wants to pronounce.
But that was a 2-0 result to Wolves, and then obviously we touched on the Man City Sheffield game, which is 1-0 to Man City, and then the Fulham game against West Brom. I've only got one talking point for this game because I only watched the 3 minutes highlights on Optus Sport. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I keep it real all the time.
Yeah.
What a worldie. It was a 2-0 result to Fulham, which, to be honest, I think I put it down as a 0 or 1-1, I believe.
0-0, I think.
0-0. Yeah. I didn't think they were going to score. Bobby Reid scoring the first goal in the 26th minute, and then a beautiful goal from Aina. 30th minute worldie. Grabs the ball, plays a nice 1-2, gets lucky with the deflection, gets it back, edge of the box, smashes it with the left foot into the top stanchions, top bins. It was a beautiful goal. I showed you that goal, just before, because Marc also didn't see the game. But honestly, what a goal. I think there's one of those goals where you look back at the rest of your career and you go, that was definitely a fucking worldie. But some of that game was 2-0. Didn't watch the game, guys, so I'm not going to talk about it. Now, we're going to move on to the games that we all fucking care about. And I'm not saying no one else cares about those games, but what we care about.
But we're Arsenal and Chelsea
So we'll touch on your game first. We'll go into the Arsenal United game. So, Marc, you want to take this away for us?
Yeah, I was surprised that what the United team showed up. I'm surprised at what
where to
Arsenal
start,
team,
honestly. Hey.
Yeah, I don't know, because we've already covered it last on that little mini episode we put out, which we're glad that you guys all loved.
Yeah,
and
shout
got
out to everyone that checked out.
We didn't think we'd get 100
We were
views
honestly,
for that,
guys, sorry to cut Mark off again. I keep doing that, my bad. We honestly thought we were getting about 50 views, 20 views.
Yeah.
I was a bit worried.
Popped off again.
We smashed it, by the way. So thanks for the support, guys. We do appreciate it.
So, and that we never like sort of promoted it. We just said there's a bit of a special. But yeah, where to start, man? It's I thought that United had started a good run of form, beating PSG and RB Leipzig. I didn't think they were on the form of we're gonna really challenge for the title or anything like that. But I thought you go and beat those sort of teams.
Draw against Chelsea, not a bad result.
Yeah, not a bad result. But then you go to Arsenal, who have never won at Old Trafford since '06. The confidence are on United. On their side, they've got
teams rocking up.
I thought, Arsenal, I said it last week, we're not clinical enough in front of goal. It proved it. We needed to score a penalty. We had so many sitters that we didn't score. That's another issue that I've still got. But yeah, United, that game, it was really just an Arsenal controlling that game, and it shocked me. It wasn't a United. We made them look very average.
I think this all started in the midfield, which I know I'm waiting for you to call me out right now, because I think the midfield is what really, really, really separated this game.
Yeah.
If I could touch on it quickly, United's midfield looking fucking poor, and I'm waiting for you to call me out on it. Are you gonna call me out on it, or should I call myself out on it?
No.
All right, so I did say last week United were going to dominate in the midfield.
Yeah.
And they ended up fucking choking it. So if you want to take that way, the midfield class with Partey. Talk about Partey for me for a second, because he's
Partey. Oh man, he's going to be. He looked beastly, man, and that's his third game for Arsenal so far. He's looking very much like Vieira, and there was actually a quote by Roy Keane. Everyone's comparing Partey to Vieira after that United game, and Roy Keane was one of them. To compare Vieira
what
to
a
Partey.
comparison to have.
And if anyone was that I'd acknowledge that quote to be true, that's Roy Keane, who battled with him for years and was his biggest rival.
The amount of fights they used to have.
Yeah, and he's saying, I wish United had signed a player like Partey for 45 million. It just shows what a player we've signed, and it's a player that we've been trying to play since 2006.
And it really shows Arteta's kind of like idea for the club and philosophy going in with that.
Yeah, Partey as well. Being that defensive shield, I've seen Elneny do, like, against United. He did some things that I'd never thought he would do. He was being aggressive on the ball. He was going forward. And only because Partey was there to sort of say, you know what, if you lose the ball,
okay.
I'm here. I'm here.
To save you.
Rather than, like, Xhaka's a good player. Don't get me twisted. I love Xhaka, but he's not that player who, like, I was seeing Partey doing slide tackles to intercept balls in, like, the 4th, 5th minute. And it's like, wow, this guy, he's if he can do this even against teams like Villa and West Brom and Fulham, not just it's a big game against United, I want to put in an extra special performance. If he can do this on a weekly basis, we've got such a
I'm really worried for Boxing Day. I think the more you guys build in confidence and the more Partey is, because we all know the formation they want to play is a 4-3-3, and at the moment you're playing more of a 3-4-3, kind of like rotating between the 4-3-3 as your attack. I just want you to touch on me for pretty much how do you think you guys set up? I know we spoke about it on the special this week, but there was something interesting to me, and it was the stats of Partey. Now I don't know off the top of my head. We did talk about it on the special, so we won't go into depth of it again. But just like the work rate, like how do you feel as an Arsenal fan watching Elneny sprinting in the 92nd minute to get that ball?
It's good. It's something that we've lacked in the recent years, and why we drop points. That's what Arteta's got them drilled into them. Play to the last minute. Do not, just think that this is an easy game. Keep playing till the final whistle. Don't just think we've got this win. But I saw before the game that people were saying that Fred was better than Partey, talking about that, and then Partey ended up making a meal out of him by megsing him.
Mate, it was in his back pocket.
And yeah, but no, we set up well. Again, 3-4-3 is a very safe formation for Arsenal. But like I said, but like I said, you don't score many goals like I said, only a couple. We don't really score more
Yeah,
than
you have
3
been
goals.
struggling on that front.
We're going to eventually, I assume we're going to eventually start gelling into the 4-3-3. And like I said last week, I was surprised that we were going to try it against United, which we didn't. It ended up being 3-4-3. But yeah, it's a safe formation which focuses on the defence more so than the attacking, and it really pulled off well. But I also want to give a shout out to Gabriel. £26 million we got him for, 22 years old, compared to say Maguire's 80 million.
Mate, you've
you know
done
what
fucking
I mean?
well.
Like that's a bargain, and that's where, like you've always said, players that come from England are so overpriced, man. If they'd have gone out and signed someone like Gabriel for 26 million, that would have been.
And to be on a yellow from the start of the match and not be sent off, which there was a bit of an iffy moment with Greenwood that we'll touch on in a bit later, but I think it just shows you how smart your defense is this season. I think the whole conversation that you had last week with Liam about your defense being weak, I think is now gone. I think that you guys are going to keep dominating in the defense. I think that it's now, your focus now is, can you get those goals back? Because Aubameyang has not been looking I know he scored the penalty, but he's not been looking himself. The chances he had in that game against Man United were kind of rushed. They weren't really taken very well. But yeah, so I want to know your thoughts on Saka, to be honest, because I think he was brilliant for you guys.
Yeah, Saka's a baller. It's going to be one of those players that is going to be so good in the future. We've just got to make sure that we give him the right development. We surround him with the positive players. Again, he's got to stay grounded. He can't be he can't be too cocky and too, he's got to be grounded, and he's just got to take his chances when he can. Be prepared that whenever he gets a chance in the team, that he's got to perform, because he's still young. He can be dropped easily. Yeah. He's not a first-team player, but at the moment he's looking really good. But yeah, Saka, what do you think of Saka? I thought he was very strong.
Yeah, so
on the
I
ball.
think Saka reminds me a bit of Eden Hazard, and I know I'm going to compare him to him because it's the only player that I really had a love for at Chelsea, that as a winger. I think Saka has that eye for goal. He's young. He's got the eye.
Yeah.
Let's get forward. My first thought is, where can I go? Who can I beat?
Yeah.
Who can I take on? Who can I put the ball around and run the other side?
And that's what I like, aggressive.
And it's not. And the thing is that I'm going to agree with you here, because I hate players that first thought is, where's the safe pass? It's good in certain situations.
Yeah, backwards and sideways passing.
It's not for me. And I think Saka, he does it so well. Do I think he suits a left wing back role? I think he's better as a winger. But in the system you guys are playing at the moment, he kind of plays a winger role anyway, with obviously him coming back. But you've got the 3 coveries at the back in the defence with Gabriel. Who's your back line again? Gabriel
Holding and Tierney.
They put in a fucking shift, mate. Tierney as well.
Yeah.
I want to touch on him real quick as well. Class. Yeah. Him and Saka for me. To be honest, my 4 favourite players that game were Partey, Elneny, Saka, and Tierney.
And Tierney as well, he's playing out of position. He's a left back.
Absolute baller,
and he's
mate.
playing centre half.
Baller. I said that in the game.
Well, he's playing on the left side of centre half. But yeah, Elneny, Tierney, all of them. Premier League as well released a stat that I wanted to read out there. We signed Rob Holding for $2 million from Bolton. Now.
But you were a bit worried about him at the start of the game. Don't lie to me.
Yeah, they compared Harry Maguire's season so far to Holding. Now, clean sheets, Holding's got, this is for this season, 1 clean sheet this year. Holding's got 2. Goals conceded with Maguire in defence, 13, Arsenal 4. Maguire's had 1 block, Holding's had 2. Interceptions, Maguire's had 11, Holding's had 6. Tackles, Maguire's had 2, Holding's had 10. Tackles 1, Maguire's had 2, Holding's had 6.
Jesus.
Errors leading to goal, Maguire's had 1, and Rob Holding's had 0. And the transfer fee is $80 million for Maguire and $2 million for Rob Holding. So I'm not saying that Rob Holding's not a great defender at all, but he
makes mistakes.
It's very much like Kepa. He needs to be kind of shown that he's not, because he keeps making these mistakes, having these poor games, and he doesn't get dropped. And I think that's the biggest thing for players, is that they get dropped and they get shown that you're not untouchable.
Yeah. You're not a set starter in this squad.
Exactly. And the only other thing I'll say, and I know we'll get into Ole later on, because we've got
a little section dedicated to my man.
But what I've got to say is that under 100 games that Ole's had, I don't see any team cohesion, any plan, As a United fan, I wouldn't sit there and go, I know what we're doing. And Arteta's only had us for 50 games, and I can sit there and I go, I know what direction we're going in. And that's a big concern
That
for United.
and I'm touching on what you just said because you just told the thoughts out of my head. We watched, me and Mark watched the Sky Sports of Roy Keane versus Timmy Cahill. Now, I think Roy Keane's smoking something that I've not touched in my life because that man was saying some questionable things in general. And the first thing that he said that really baffled me was that that this season Arsenal have lost 3 games. Mark, tell me who those 3 games that they've lost to are.
Liverpool 3-1, City 1-0, and Leicester 1-0.
All top 4 sides, should be top 4 sides.
Yeah.
Who have United lost to this season? Palace, Spurs,
Spurs,
Arsenal.
Yeah, all small clubs.
Small clubs, apart from one, which I know maybe no, 3 small clubs. Anyway, but the reason why I get mad about this whole conversation is because, like you just said, you can see a plan under Arteta. Like Tim Cahill said, there's something there. They're building towards something. They're going into a direction, right? When I watch Ole's squad under his whole tenure at United, I don't see any plan. I see it as this. Ready? All right, lads. We're rocking up Sunday morning to the game. You guys ready? Yeah, I'm ready. I've been on the bevs last night, coach. All right, well, Pogba, mate, you just play a part. Fernandes, get us a pen.
Yeah,
get us a pen, win us the game. That's what I feel like. There's no plan. And then to touch on, I know we'll get into it later, but the way Arteta shut down that diamond formation in the middle, it made RP Leipzig look like a shit team in general because of the way they didn't defend it. But the way El Neni was blocking the passing lanes, the way Partey was blocking the passing lanes, the way that the front three pressed the defense, Pogba couldn't even get the ball out of his own half. I think we saw in that game. In that game, the stat came out was that in the first half they didn't even get into Arsenal's half, and in the second half, United actually got into their half for like the first time in the game, like with possession of the ball into their box. Sorry.
And what I'd be concerned as well, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, he said from kickoff that game looked like a 0-0 game, and I said to you, they went into that game looking as if they just wanted to walk out with a draw.
They looked so
and
poor.
That's not what you want as a United fan.
And this is why I want to touch on United, because I just think that there's so many problems for them right now. I think the midfield look poor. I think Pogba and Fernandes don't link well in the midfield. I don't think it's a good mix. I think maybe on their day they link well, but I think they're two similar players, as in they both have a creative mind. They both want to do the same thing. And in my opinion, Pogba's never been a defensive mid. I don't know why the fuck every team plays him more as like a left centre mid or a defensive mid, because he didn't work there for Mourinho. He hasn't worked there for Thingy. He always shines in a number 10, like an Ozil free role where he can do whatever the fuck he wants. But when you have Fernandes on that team, that's the role I keep saying I want to say Fernandes, but I'm going to try to say Fernandes now. I think that's the role that he should play. And I think he does it better than Pogba this season. And there's so many problems right now. I think the biggest problem right now for United this season, they haven't won at home in the Prem.
Yeah, but I'd be so concerned if, as a United fan, your manager going, that looked like a 0-0 draw from kickoff. No, from kickoff, you should be looking as if you want to go and grab a goal.
And for me, it's the same old piss poor excuses after the game from Pogba, from all these players going, yeah, we should have done better today. We'll go home, we'll work hard, and we'll come back, and we'll get results. No, you say that every week, Pogba. Every time you have a bad performance, it's the same fucking media trained statement of, I did bad, but I'll resurrect it.
I was watching an interview, I think it was on TalkSport, someone, one of the ex-players that played under Ole when they got relegated, he said Ole is such a nice manager,
You're not scared when you lose.
Well, but he said there was one game where they lost against Swansea, their rivals, 6-0. In that relegation season, and he said, have tomorrow off. And he said, and that's what the biggest difference is, that when you lose those sort of games, managers go, right, we're back in training tomorrow. You bollock them. He wasn't. He was very timid. He was very much like
his management style is more of a friend. He's not a manager, he's a friend, he's your mate. You walk up to training like, hey, Ole, what's up, brother?
Yeah.
You right, Mikey? I'm good. That's what it is, bro. That's what it is. So I'm going to rant now. We're going to fucking talk about it now, not about the whole Ole thing. But I think, in general, you've not won at home this season. Arsenal have gone 14 years without even fucking winning.
And Arsenal at the home side.
Oh man, it's honestly like I sit there and I don't get it. I think Ole's lost. I think he's, like my dad said, he's better as a fucking assistant manager, like a super assistant manager, like he was a super sub. I think right now United have got a lot of problems they've got to sort out. But
moving on from like the Ole situation, just talking about Arsenal in future. From now that we've beaten United, that's all well and good. We now need to beat.
Yeah, you got to press on.
Villa next. We got Leeds soon, and we've got Tottenham away soon. Now, there's no point beating this finally beating a Big Six away
and then losing to
6 years, and then going to Tottenham away in a few games and losing that record again. We got to, if we can beat United away,
you now got to press
and
on
then we can go and beat Tottenham away. That's a good start, and I think this could be a turning point in the season because, mind you, the last 3 Premier League games before this, we lost to Liverpool, we lost to City, then we lost to Leicester. You can kind of see, like I said, the mental thing. You go, oh, we've lost these games sort of thing. But now you can go, you know what, last game out, we beat United 1-0 at their ground. We controlled that game. The midfield was brilliant. Elneny takes confidence from that. Gabriel, Partey, so I think that's a big stepping stone. And if we can beat those sides coming up to the Tottenham game away, which is in a few weeks' time, we can go into that Tottenham game with that confidence.
What a performance from Arsenal. What a win. As a Chelsea fan, I'm worried, mate. I am worried. I think that this season, our game could be the biggest game of the season just in general. I don't think it'll be the most exciting game, but I think it will be the biggest game in terms of table position, in terms of top 4, in terms of the managers. Lampard, ex-Chelsea player, Arteta, ex-Arsenal player. And it'll be funny to see because I personally do believe Arteta has a better coaching background just because he worked under Guardiola. And I think it's a bit ignorant to say that Arteta isn't more experienced in that role. I know Lampard spent a year at Derby, but I just don't think they're comparable.
Yeah, one thing that Roy Keane came out and said after the game, he's like, because Aubameyang said something in a post-match interview and he referred to Arteta as Mikel, and Roy Keane goes, oh, like how disrespectful is that? You don't call your manager. And they asked Arteta, what do you think about this? He says, I let them choose what they want to call me. He says, I'm so close with these players, and that's the difference. Arteta is so close with the players, just like Ole is. But Arteta, if you cross that line, because he's come in. He's got this thing. I don't know if you know about this, but he's taken it from Guardiola. There's like this big wheel of fortune in the dressing room. If you fuck up, you spin the wheel of fortune, and it lands on you have to clean the captain's car and all that. You have to wash the cars and all that, and that's the punishment. And that's the punishments that Arsenal dish out if you stuff up. I don't see Ole bringing that sort of stuff in, and it kind of brings in the not the banter side, but you
makes
get punished, but it's
positive.
positive. So it's a positive punishment, not you're cleaning everyone's boots.
It doesn't ruin the team cam. Yeah.
So that's something that Arsenal have there, but Roy Keane, I think he's. Again, United legend. He's a bit biased. He's trying to.
I didn't mean to I didn't mean to go off at him about the. I just think it was kind of ironic to watch him say, and that is bias. He was like, Arsenal now, Bayern Munich. Mate, fucking done well. Appreciate the performance. He didn't really. He didn't say you guys played well. He believed that you guys didn't play well in that game. I don't know what game he was watching.
Yeah.
He just said United were poor, and I do agree United were poor, but I think you can't not credit Arsenal's midfield that game. And like I said, I got it wrong. I have to admit, guys, I got it wrong. I really thought you guys were going to struggle in midfield. I thought,
on paper, you got Pogba, Bruno Fernandes, and Fred compared to Elneny and Partey. Of course, you'd think that United would dominate.
And it was just on paper. I was on current form as well. I felt like going into that game,
Leipzig 5-0, PSG,
but obviously, it wasn't there.
But that's United at the moment. So
if you guys do want a more in-depth analysis, go check out the last video. We uploaded it. We did really go into detail at the halftime. It was live thought, so everything was fresh. We had everything in our minds. We might have missed a couple of things.
We've been drinking. And speaking of that, we did want to touch, if the energies were low and all that sort of stuff.
Oh, yeah.
It was 3 o'clock in the morning. It was cold.
Freezing.
We've been drinking. And, that's the only reason why it was so dead, but it was still cool, man.
We are
outside.
From the down under, so our games for us, especially the big games, the earliest game we'll ever get is a 9 o'clock kickoff, and then that's the first game of the weekend. So then from there, it's always 3 a.m.
Yeah, some Champions League games 4
a.m. kickoff for us. So for us, it's a grind. That's why we can't watch every Premier League game, because of the time. I'm in bed at I'm an early sleeper. I'm not like Marc. I'm not a night out. I like my bedtime. Do you want to move on to the Chelsea game?
Yeah. Chelsea, awesome. Go for it, bro.
Sorry, guys. We're going to be covering the Chelsea-Burnley game, which was amazing. I think there's so much to talk about this game. But first, I just want to talk about the result. 3-0. Beautiful performance. Another clean sheet for Mendy.
Yeah, I thought you guys had too much up front.
I think you got it right, Mark, in your prediction last week. I think the 5-0 result was probably a fair prediction to make. The reason I didn't give it higher is because I get worried. Chelsea.
Yeah, of course. Like you saw how negative
I'm
I
a
was
very
about
negative
United,
viewer of Chelsea. Sometimes I feel like we come against these small teams and we undermine them a little bit.
I mean, you were so negative about Mendy, and he's
I was negative,
and that's because you want to play it safe. I get that.
I didn't want to come out and be like, Mendy's going to solve all goalkeeping problems, and then he just leaks goals.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, you played that safe.
But yeah, so the goals were from Ziyech, Zuma, and Werner. Just talking about Mendy real quickly, though, I do want to talk about him. Form is insane. He's gone 6 games now with clean sheets, 3 in a row in the Premier League, the other 3 being in the Champions League. Mark, how do you feel about Mendy at the moment? Do you think he's solved our keeper problems at the back? Do you think our defence is now sorted?
Yeah, I think that's your biggest issue was having that goalkeeper, because you weren't. I mean, I know that Thiago Silva made that mistake where he slipped in his
he's
debut,
been brilliant ever since.
Other than that, it wasn't like defensive issues. It was
keeper. It was goals from
chances.
outside the box. Like I said last season, every shot from outside the box pretty much went in against Kepa.
And that is so important to have a keeper.
That's how you win a title.
To win a title, to win trophies and all that sort of stuff.
Which is where Chelsea obviously wanted to go with the signings they made this season. They're obviously trying to challenge for the title. Which I'm going to make a bold statement. I think we could challenge for the title. I'm not getting carried away here. I dead set, and I said it a couple episodes ago to Mark, I think. I just think at the moment, I think Chelsea are in a good run of form. I don't think we're necessarily going to steal the title, but I think this is it's so open this season. I think anyone can win it. And I think you'd be dumb not to think that.
You think Chelsea?
I think Chelsea can win the league. I don't think they will win the league. I don't think they're 100% going to. But I think we're definitely title contenders. And I'm going to say something else. I think Arsenal also are title contenders. I think Tottenham are title contenders. So. I think pretty much. I pretty much think every other team in this league, apart from United, are title contenders, mate. Dead set. United are the only team I can't see winning the title.
Yep.
But yeah, touching on Ziyech as well. Another man of the match performance from him. Played absolutely wonderful.
I'm just going to interrupt you. Is that Zuma bullet header?
Yeah.
That was beautiful.
Mate.
That header.
It was like almost like Roberto Carlos had a free kick from outside the box.
Yeah.
It went in with that much power.
No keeper is saving that. That nearly ripped the back of the net open.
100%.
Yeah.
It was insane from Zuma. But yeah, touch on Ziyech. Wonderful goal. Another man of the match performance from him. An assist as well. I don't know if you saw his goal. It was very well laid off from Abraham. And I think Abraham, and I'll touch on that a bit later, but Abraham has been such a key role when he's filled in for the Chelsea squad. Because think about it from Abraham's perspective, right? He's top goal scorer last season for Chelsea. We go and sign Werner, a European giant. We sign him. If you're Abraham, you could easily go kick off. You go knock on Lampard's door and go, what the fuck? Why am I not starting? I'm the one who carried this team last season. You trusted me. You've trusted me again. He stayed patient. He's come into the squad when he has this season. And when he has, he's looked promising. He looks like he's going to get a goal. And he set up a beautiful goal for Ziyech on his right foot, I think it was. Or a left foot. No, it was his right foot. Cuts in, bangs it in the bottom left, I believe. Great finish. It was the thing that we missed last season, I think, was sometimes we're so predictable. We'd get it around inside the edge of the box and we just wouldn't shoot. We'd just pass it and like almost try to pass the ball in. And I think this season, with the wingers we have and the strike force we have, you're going to see a lot more goals from outside the box. You're going to see Werner a lot more making good plays. I think you're going to see Ziyech being a big part of this role. I honestly think that like Ziyech could be a real key player this season for us. And I think him linking up with Havertz and Werner up front, it's going to be really fucking deadly.
Right. I've got 2 questions to ask you about the Chelsea state at the moment. So, first of all, what happens with Kepa now? What do you think happens with Kepa? We spoke about this briefly before the show.
Yeah, I think...
if Mendy gets injured, red carded, do you have Kepa as your second keeper? Do you have Caballero? Do you sell him? Do you loan him? What do you do? Your Lampard.
Yeah, it's a tough question. And I think it's one of those ones where any answer you give could be right, could be wrong. I don't think there's a correct...
Yeah, it could backfire.
I don't think there's a right or wrong answer. How I would go about it is I would loan him. Loan him for a season, maybe back to a Spanish side. Get his confidence back up. Get him back in the league. Get him in the top league. Get him in the Liga. See how he goes. If he plays well and Mendy dips in form, bring him back in.
Bring him back in. There's nothing wrong with competition.
Exactly, but if Mendy still is beasting, he's still getting clean sheets, he's still looking like a solid player, which he's looking at the moment, then I think bring him back, sell him because his market value will increase, so we won't lose so much money on him because of what we bought him for. We're going to lose money on him regardless, but it's how much we lose, the financial decision. I think that's the best way to go about it. I don't think we sell him just yet. The reason I say that is because And we sell him now, we could make a big loss and we could make a big mistake because if Mendy gets injured and then we fucking have Caballero as our keeper, I'm not saying Caballero isn't a good keeper. I'm just saying I would prefer Thingy in goal. But I know Czech was announced in the Premier League squad and he said because he might actually play a game, he's not opposed to it. But I don't know. It's a tough one. I'm arguing myself right now in my head. I'm like, if we sell him now, then we make money back instantly. And if he goes out on loan, he could dip more in form. We could lose more money on him. So there's so many ways to go about it. But how I would go about it is loan him out. If he does well, bring him back into the squad. Bring that competition again up because Mendy could dip in form. We've only seen him for 6 games. I still think it's too early to say that like he's going to be like this for the rest of the season. I think he's on track to be like that for the rest of the season. I think 6 games is plenty of time. I mean, it's 270 minutes of football, the guy's played fucking beautiful. And even in the Champions League as well, 3 clean sheets in the Champions League as well, 3 clean sheets in the Premier League. I think he's on a run of form right now, and I think the best thing you can do as Kepa right now is just go on loan. I think if you go on loan now and you prove yourself and you come back, you're young, you've still got time. Mendy on the opposite hand doesn't have time. He's quite not old as a keeper, but he's older than Kepa. So I think it is a big issue right now at our club. We have 4 goalkeepers announced in our Premier League squad. So it'll be interesting to see how Czech works with those keepers. I know he's now part of one of those keepers, but he's still our coach for that side. He's still our technical director in the keeping department. So yeah, that's to answer your first question. What was the second question?
Second question, right. You might need to fill in case I don't know. You've signed Werner, Ziyech, Havertz, Mendy, Thiago Silva. Anyone else?
What's his name? The centre-back that went out on loan.
Don't count him, but yeah. So is that the only players you've signed? Yeah,
I think so.
So Havertz, Werner, Mendy, Thiago Silva, Ziyech.
I feel like I'm missing one.
Chilwell, right. So you got 6 there. Rank them so far this season, and who's been the better player so far? Who's played the best, and who's been the worst so far?
Okay, so if you're talking about game times, I actually only played 2 games, so it's hard. But in his 2 games, he's got man of his performances. So does that make him number 1?
Yeah. So I'm rating. I want you to rate the better signings.
My opinion.
Your personal opinion. The better signings.
Number 1, Mendy.
He's the best signing you've had?
I think it's without a doubt. He's saved us multiple clean sheets. Pretty much like every game he's played had a clean sheet, which is fact. 6 games, 6 clean sheets. I think number 2 has to go to Chilwell. I think he's underrated in our squad. I think he brings a lot of leadership and a lot of proven force in the Premier League. I feel like he just looks good on the ball. He looks composed, and he brings that composure we didn't have at that role. I think Alonso was very weak in that role. I think that when we had other players in that role, they just didn't fit it very well. I think I forgot his name now. Oh my god, it's gone off my head. It's our other left back. Can you quickly look it up? It's second left back. It's not Alonso. What's his name? It's gone clear of my head, to be honest. But anyway, talking about Chilwell. He's been amazing. He's fits that role really well because we were switching between.
Aspie?
Not Aspie. It's the other guy. It's what's his Emerson? That's it, Emerson.
Oh yeah.
So Emerson, when he filled in that role, it didn't really look that great. I know he's a natural right back, but when he filled in for both the wing backs, he didn't look good. He had games where he looked really well, better than Alonso. But I think overall Chilwell has fit into that role perfectly. It frees up Aspie as well to be used in the centre back or the right back role, which he's happy to play anywhere in the defence. He's rotated multiple times. I think our third best signing probably is between Havertz and Werner, and I'm going to put them joint 3. I think I'm not going to pick between. I'm going to say number 3 for both of them. And then the only reason I'm putting Ziyech at 4th is due down to he's not played enough games for me to really analyse him, but I think he will move up in that spot selection. 5th place, who else was there you mentioned? So we've had mentioned Ziyech, Werner, Havertz,
Silva.
Silva. It's hard again. Defensively, he's done beautiful, but if you're talking about the first game where he had that howler, I think that drops him down. I think because of his age as well, he can't play week in, week out. I don't think he's the most amazing side, but because you
haven't got him for long. You've got him
he's going to be there for
a
year, I reckon, a year, maybe 2 max. We got him on a free, which boosts him up as well. But I think he sits in number 4 or 5.
Yeah, no, he's just a good leadership to have in the dressing room 100%. As well. Silva.
I think that's everyone.
But so is there anything else you want to touch on with the Chelsea?
A couple little things I also want to touch on. I think that you guys need to get off Mount's back. I think Mason Mount is a baller at the number 8 role. I think when he's on the wing, he gets a bit lost in games. But when he's in that number 8 position, I think he dominates. I think there's no other better midfielder in the Chelsea starting lineup like Mount. I think his press is insane. I think his ball retention is really good. His skill on the ball, his confidence. He looks so composed for such a young lad.
Yeah.
He does remind me a bit of Lampard. I think that Lampard actually affects him, his game.
It's like nurturing him.
Nurturing, and I think he wants him to, because he
Yeah.
gets goals from anywhere, outside the box, inside the box, and that was the same as Lampard, a very versatile player in the midfield, a goal scorer, and I think we finally have that with Mount, and I think he gets a lot of hate because it's easy to hate on Mount. He's English, he's young, but last season everyone was praising him, so all these fake plastic fans that are switching up on him, you can fuck off, because Mount's a baller, and I've certified him. His press was insane. But yeah, so I think his work rate doesn't go unnoticed. I notice it every week. The guy works his socks off for that club. I think he's a baller player. Another thing I want to talk about was the formation. Now, we set up in a 4-3-3, but finally, I don't know why Lampard's only now decided to do it. He's put Kante in his normal position as a CDM, and he shut down the...
Where was he playing it before?
Kind of a more attacking role, a more like sweeper midfielder, more creative role.
Yeah.
He doesn't suit that role. He's a defensive mid. I know under Sarri we try to make him work in that Sarri role movement. I think Lampard has recognised that Kante can be very good attackingly, but I think all the fans see that he's a way better defensive. That's why we signed him. And he shut down that midfield. And then we also had that 4-3-3 with Mount and Havertz. Havertz looks lazy, but he's not. He's just effortless. He's so good at what he does, he looks lazy. The way he's on the ball, so elegant, like the way he moves, it's just beautiful to see week in, week out. And then I also wanted to touch on quickly was old man Silva. Do not sleep on this guy. He may be old. He may only be here for a year. But these are some stats I have for you guys for that Burnley game. He had a 94% passing accuracy, 89 passes completed, which shows how comfortable he is at the back with Zuma. And I love that partnership because him and Zuma at the back now look confident. They look comfortable. We don't look like we're going to concede goals anymore. 108 touches, 9 out of 12 long balls completed, 5 out of 5 ground duels won, 5 out of 6 aerial duels won, 1 tackle, 1 block shot, 5 clearances. Now, if you're making 1 tackle a game and you think that's a poor defender, and that's a good defender, the less tackles you make means you're doing the best defending. You're shutting that before it even gets to that point where you need to make the tackle. And I think Silva has kind of gone underrated this season just because of his first game, and it was the big talking point was that howler he had. But since then, he's been really solid at the back. And I think overall, I really love the formation. I love the roles Lampard's kind of put players in this season. And I think the competition we have in our squad with Abraham, Werner, and the way we fit that formation, that lineup in on the weekend with Abraham down the middle, with Werner on the wing, and then Havertz on the other wing, or Ziyech, I believe it was. We looked really strong. And hopefully Pulisic, he's been injured. He's got a minor hamstring injury at the moment. And I hope we kind of look after him this season. I think he should be a player that plays semi-regularly. I think I would love to have him every game, but I just think his explosiveness and how quick he is on the ball, we can't afford to have him play every game. I think he struggles a lot with maintaining injuries, and I think he's an injury-prone player. So I really want to look after him this season. But do you have any questions about that game you wanted to ask, or apart from that?
I think should you have scored more?
I think 3 was fine. I think 3-0 looked good.
No, but
I would have.
Were you
I think
controlling
I think we definitely could have scored more. There was a couple chances that we had that.
So like, was the keeper for Burnley
wasn't clutch. We just didn't take as many chances as we could have. But I think 3-0 against Burnley, I'll take that.
That's
perfect.
perfect game.
Yeah.
I didn't know whether you guys should have. You
not
could
really.
have.
We took the chances we had. To be honest, it was one of those games where Burnley just looked really weak, and Chelsea just took the chances we did have.
Yeah.
And it was a game that was dominated in the midfield. Because they can't take in that holding mid role, able to let Mount and Havertz express themselves in that midfield and create the passing links to up front between Abraham and Abraham being able to set it off for the likes of Werner, it just looks beautiful.
And you've now beat Burnley 3-0. How does this change Chelsea going forward?
Well, now going forward, I think it changes a lot. I think obviously we went into the Rennes game in the Champions League and we won 3-0. So that was from that Burnley game we're going to win 3-0 in the Champions League. And I think now Lampard's team is on a roll. And I think once this team gets on a roll, I'm not saying this because I'm a Chelsea fan, I'm deluded. I'm saying this because it's fact. If you let this team go on a roll this season, they will decimate teams. Because the likes of Werner scored 3 goals now. 3 goals, banged in goals. I think you've got Ziyech looking in form, 2 man of the match performances. I think you've got Havertz coming more and more out of his role. I think Mason Mount, like I've said multiple times, looking good. Kante looking good. Aspie looking beautiful this season when he's played for us. I think Zuma and Silva at the back, again, looking fucking promising, looking such a beautiful defense. And I think, again, Chilwell looking composed. Mendy as well. Look at all those players I just mentioned. Every single one of them playing absolutely fucking stunning football these past 5 games. And I think it's safe to say that we're now a team that can contend for the title if we keep building like this. But like you said, I think next week, we have Sheffield. If we don't beat Sheffield, that all goes out the window. There's no point talking about anything I just said because you've got to win these games. And if we smash Sheffield 5-0 or 4-0, I think you really got to start putting some respect on Chelsea's name this season and some respect, please, on Lampard's name as well. Because he's the one who picks the side, and I'm sick of seeing the fucking plastic fans in the Instagram comments say, Lampard out, because, mate, fucking give him some fucking time, mate. Like, Jesus fucking Christ. He just signed these players. We didn't have a preseason. COVID affected everything. It's a different season this season, so I think you have to give managers time. But it comes different when you're talking about early. But yeah, that's all I really had to say about the Chelsea game. It was a dominant performance. We won 3-0. And I won't rant any more about it.
Should we move on to the Ole troubles at United?
I think it segues well. So we touched upon it a lot, so we won't go deep down into it.
Get into that. We got to give shout out to Istanbul, whoever they play. I can't pronounce the name, but Istanbul for grabbing their first ever win in the Champions League, and that was against Manchester United.
Demba Ba, bringing back the years on that.
What did you think of that first goal?
I thought it was schoolboy. I think this shows Ole's errors at the club. I think it shows that the players aren't communicating. I don't think there's any talking going on with the right communication. I think the fact that you've got not even a man on the fucking halfway line. Like, the man was in front of the halfway line, yes, but there's no way that's stopping the counter-attack. It's schoolboy defending. It's poor. Yeah. It's piss poor.
It's not a side if it's in your own half. To me, I think...
Demba was in his own half and no man on him.
Yeah, exactly. To me, I think United didn't respect their opponents because it was Istanbul. They've never won in a Champions League game. They thought this would be a walk in the park, hence why they had so many players up towards, the opposition's goal, including the defence. And I think Istanbul proved why, no matter how small the club is, no matter how weak the club is, you have players like Raphael and Martin Skirt who are playing, and Demba Ba
for this
Istanbul side. Go and show you. Don't just think that we're an easy pushover team. You've still got to set up correctly. You still need to have a defence. You still need to. You can't just throw everyone in the box and go, you know what? Let's just smack them, because they just. And even after that first goal, United still throwing their players into the opposition's
set roles.
There was no Ole or no player to say, right, that was a fucking embarrassment of a goal. Now, don't do that again. Because, again, Istanbul kept on counter-attacking United that whole game. And it was a game plan that Istanbul set up. And United never adapted to that situation. They just kept on saying, it'll eventually work. We'll score. Yeah, they did score one. But the whole second half, they didn't. Istanbul cleared a ball for goal line clearance.
Yeah, I saw that.
In the last couple of minutes.
Insane.
And
that was actually insane.
That's when goal line technology came in, and that was literally, it was dead on the line.
It wasn't in.
Yeah, an inch over, it would have been a goal. An inch, and it's like, wow, what a clearance.
They had to time
that
it,
was
because
beautiful.
if he hit the keeper, was going in. If he hit the crossbar, was going in. He got it just between the two.
So it was perfect. But man, Ole,
I've got a couple of things to say about him, to be honest.
Yeah, I spoke to Daniel earlier today, and I know you feel the same way. If they don't win all, if they lose or draw,
gone.
Ole's gone. I personally think, I'm calling it, Ole, he's got to win this game. And then again, that's what happens.
He does this.
That's what happens. He's going to win it. And then, yeah, it keeps.
But I just want to talk about Ole's tactics, and I know it's always mentioned, but I don't think he's like, what's the word? I think he's very much, okay, this tactic works for one game, let's try it for every other game. And then he doesn't know how to switch it up.
I never see him change his tactics at half-time if something's going against him.
He did it in that game, bro. In the Arsenal game, he played the diamond the whole game.
And then he did the same thing against Istanbul. He's never go, right, lads, we're soaking up too much pressure. We need to change it. We need to go plan B.
And this is why, plan A, and I want to touch on that diamond formation, because me and Marc checked over the old Man United Reddit, and it's just a joke. It really is. And I'm not trying to shit on United fans, but when you're sitting there saying he's a tactical genius in that diamond formation,
unbeatable,
and this is the formation you're going to go into the rest of the year, I'm not saying it's not dumb, because at the time it would have made sense because of the thrashing they did, and I think because they beat PSG as well, it does make sense. But you have to take into account they've not done well in the Premier League, and that's where it fucking matters for Ole as a job. You're 15th right now, I believe.
Yeah, they're 15th.
And they look poor. They look rubbish. They don't have. It's uninspiring. And I say it week in, week out. If you walk into that dressing room, like we said earlier in the episode, when you walk into that dressing room, are you sitting there and you're going, fuck me, I'm scared of Ole right now? Shit, boy, we've done shit, mate.
No, I have the day off tomorrow.
Oh, cool. So I'm gonna go down fucking Tenerife for my love. I'm gonna fucking chill out, drink some beers, and I'll be back on it Wednesday for training.
Yeah.
Like, mate, it's such a joke. Like, it just is. Like, and I know, and I'm not saying I know them personally, but I know the likes of Pogba and all those players, bro. Lingard.
Take it back to...
These guys, I don't care about Oli.
Take it back to episode 2 or 3 when the transfer window deadline thing. I'm also going to say, I still think Cavani was a panic buy.
100%. They didn't get Sancho, so they're like, who the fuck else is next?
Yeah, so we need to get a big name in. Shirt sales were a big thing. Cavani going to United. I haven't seen it. I hope to be proved wrong. Well, I don't hope so, but he can prove me wrong. But he came in against Arsenal, did fuck all. He played against a team like Istanbul. He didn't do much.
To be fair, what are you meant to do in that team? Like, that system is doing
exactly.
What can you do?
Exactly, and yeah.
When he came on in the first game, he actually nearly got a goal bagged from the corner. He flicked in near post and hit the side netting. But that's the thing where he's going to have to make his chances come from. It's just set pieces. I don't think Cavani will be scoring from open play much.
But since Sir Alex Ferguson
give us the
has
stats. Sorry, guys, we're going to give you a bit of stats on why we think like Ole's not good. But this stat kind of defends him a little.
Yeah.
Mark reads this out. Go ahead, Mark.
Since Fergie left United, David Moyes, Louis van Gaal, Mourinho and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has been the manager at United. The win percentage for Moyes was 53%, Louis van Gaal 52%, Mourinho 58%, and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer 55%.
He's the second best manager.
Yeah, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has played 100 games managing United. He's won 56, drawn 20, and lost 24. Now, to me, when I just look at this stats, I don't know about you, but it shows to me that it looks to me more of the Glazers. They have not got a squad. You can't have 4 managers coming in and having the same statistics, and still, I think they go out and we've always spoke about Sancho. Why are you trying to go? Sancho ain't going to change that team. He's just going to be another mercenary in that side that's just going to be another statistic. They need to have a complete rebuild. They need to get rid of the deadwood, the players that aren't going to help United, like Arteta has done, like Lampard has done, like Guardiola.
They need a rebuild process. They haven't actually rebuilt. They need to happen. They didn't know this needs to happen. They need to get rid of all the fucking, like you just said, the players they don't need. Rebuild, restart. If you finish 14th, you finish 12th, you finish fucking 12th.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what a rebuild is.
Yeah. Exactly.
United, I'm sorry, United fans, you've not been at the top for a long time now, alright? You haven't won a league in God knows how fucking long.
Fergie's last
Since
season.
2013 it was, hey? Yeah. So how long has that been? Fucking 7 years now?
7 years, yeah.
You haven't even come close to winning a title in 7 years.
Actually, Mourinho's biggest achievement as a manager was finishing second. Exactly. But everyone
bagged him for it.
And it turned out that, you know what?
And I think
it's true. And Mourinho had the highest win percentage.
Yeah, and the reason win percentage, I don't want to talk about that. I think stats are subjective. I think he started off so well at United, and that's why he got given the contract. And I think the reason he gets backed by excellent United players such as Ferdinand and stuff is because on air, Ferdinand said, give him the contract now. Give him the contract now. And I think he would look fucking silly to come out and say, he doesn't want to look silly. He doesn't want to look dumb. So he goes, nah, it's not Ole, it's the players. It's Ole, mate. It's Ole, or fucking whatever his name is, sorry. Like, I put respect on his name because he was a fucking legend for United, even if he only came off the bench to do wonders. He's a United legend, but I just don't think will do anything at that team. I think he doesn't have a plan. He doesn't know what he wants to do. He looks lost in the role. It looks like my dad said this. He said he looks lost in the role. It looks like the job's a bit too big. Now, I think he got Cardiff relegated, wasn't it? Or not? Yeah, so he got Cardiff relegated, and then what was his next job after that?
Mulder.
And how did he do that? Because I'm not too sure he did that.
He did all right. I think he
and
did
then he
all right.
Then
he became United manager
interim.
He was just taking over. And then he went on a 9-game undefeated
and then it was like
streak, and then they gave him the contract. So
because
again, Ole always has those little runs of forms. He's so inconsistent. He's like VAR.
And that's what I'm saying though, because I think you'd be dumb in history not to put your money on them to win this week, because that's what they always pull out the results. And they're at good at some parts, to be fair, which they haven't done well in the past 2 seasons, which we spoke about. Since 2017, I don't think they've bagged a result against Everton at their ground. So it's going to be interesting to see. But my personal opinion on Ole is he's got to go. I think for the United to progress, and I know there's some diehard Ole fans out there that really believe in him. He's not the manager for your team. He hasn't taken your team anywhere. You take 2 steps forward to go 1 step back, and it happens every fucking time. You beat PSG last year, mate, and you didn't do shit.
The only thing I will say about the United squad as players and in defensive, well, not really in defensive OLA, but I will call out a United squad. What they're missing is they're missing that leader that can, like I said, that leads them on the pitch. You know, someone that can do the manager's job whilst, you know, like I said, United, the managers, they speak before the game at halftime. There's no one like Maguire, who's their captain. He should be calling people out and saying, right, you need to be doing this. Start defending better.
Everyone's been doing it.
Yeah, exactly. And there's no proper leaders. Nothing like when Ferdinand left. Nothing like, you know, all these big... Van Dijk, you see him, when something goes wrong, he's yelling and when I watched Arsenal versus United, when we kept on putting the pressure on, they were just going... No, I could never see anyone getting fired up and trying to lead them on the pitch. They're missing leaders. They're lacking that sort of person on the pitch, and that's not defending Ole as if like that's the reason why United are losing. But that's something that on the pitch
needs to be talked about.
That you need to fix, as they need that natural leader on the pitch to call out people that are doing that. Pogba shit passing needs to be called out. You know,
it's not good enough. It's not good enough. When I see United, I don't I'm happy about it, but I don't expect to see them be 15th after 7 games or 6. Sorry, in the Premier League.
I'll take it.
Actually.
I'll take it back, and I know this is old school days, but this is a prime example. When Tony Adams was the Arsenal captain and Lee Dixon was playing his first ever North London derby, Tony Adams had him up by the scruff of the neck in the dressing room saying, "We don't lose these games."
And this is why.
And Lee Dixon
died a little bit.
And Lee Dixon was terrified and made sure that he had one of the most perfect games of that game of
his fucking life.
Because he had the captain, not the manager, the captain.
And it's different. When it's a peer calling you out, you're a bit more like, holy fuck.
He's like, you don't understand. These games, we do not lose.
Because you know your peer, as much as your manager will give you the truth, your manager might, you know, they've got to worry about, you know, the relationship with the players. Mate, your peers don't give a fuck. You hate me for a game, I don't give a fuck, but you are fucking shit.
You don't embarrass me. You don't
play like that for my squad. If I'm anyone in that, if I'm Rashford right now, if I was Rashford, I would take that leadership role. I'd walk in, I'd call Pogba out. But I think Rashford's too much of a nice guy he just worries about himself. I think he worries about how he is and how he performs than the team.
They need someone.
They need a leader.
Now I can finally say they need someone like Kante or Partey in that midfield, or anyway, even in the defence that can ruffle the feathers, give that little bit of stern about them.
And I think that's what they thought Matic was going to bring them. But Matic they put him centre back, mate. Yeah. They played Matic centre back out of position in that Istanbul game, and that reminded me when Mourinho did that one game, and it just shows you that like there's no tactics from Ole. He just goes, "Oh fuck," will resort to Mourinho tactics.
But it's I think this weekend could be the final.
Yeah, I think if he doesn't get a result this weekend, I think Poch is taking over, calling it now. Yeah. I think Poch is coming.
I think it'll be interesting to see.
Guys, that's a question to you guys. Will Poch rescue this United team, or will it be another disaster for another manager?
Yeah, is Ole off the wheel?
Yeah. Is he off the wheel? Or is he at the wheel?
Will he be back on? Will he do the typical Ole thing and go and beat them 2 or 3-0, then go and lose to West Brom?
And then maybe go smash Everton 6. You don't know.
Yeah, you know, we don't know with Ole, you know.
But we'll move on from that. I think we're ranting. I'm sick of fucking talking about that guy and about Man United. So we'll move on to a very interesting question we got sent in. So guys, again, if you do have questions, please send them in. We love to answer them. We love the interaction. At the 3 Points Podcast _ even leave it in the comments, guys. We do appreciate it. Just drop a comment. We'll fucking get back to you. But yeah, so the question was sent in from your dad himself, Phil.
Yep.
Shout
out, Phil.
Ha, jinx. But yeah, so the question was, I've got it in front of me. It is inevitable that at some stage in the future, there will be a European Super League consisting of top teams from the major leagues. Please nominate only 4 EPL teams to join this Super League and why you have chosen the teams, Phil. And that was from Phil, sorry. So I think the best way to answer this question is, I've got my 4 teams, you got your 4 teams. I'll read out my 4, then you read out your 4, and then we'll kind of debate it, okay? So the teams I've gone for is Liverpool, United, City, and Tottenham. Now, I originally had Chelsea in there, but after thinking about it through the episode, I've took them out not because I don't want them in the Super League, but I just don't think that they have, after speaking with Marc, and what was that is evaluated into it all?
The coefficient.
So because we missed out on that season of the European football, we did drop heavily, and that was my 4 teams. Now, you take your 4 teams and you tell me what they were.
My 4 teams were City, United, Liverpool, and Arsenal. And I'm going through coefficient-wise. We've been in European football for the last probably 20-odd years. Although we haven't been in the Champions League, it still counts when you're in the Europa League. I think based on how you perform in the European competitions, how far you get, the points you get, makes it deservingly where if you get into the Super League, you can, that way it's not top 4 goes straight in. I think that's
boring because like you could have like fucking random West Ham getting in there and it's just a bit of a waste.
and it doesn't make sense. I think whoever
it's meant to be, so it's not to diss West Ham fans. It's meant to be a Super League. It's meant to be for the top teams in Europe.
Yeah, my opinion is I think you should be rewarded depending on how well you perform in either Champions League and Europa League. And coefficiency does that. They count up all the results, where you've finished, where you've gone to over the past etc. years, and those are in order. City, United, Liverpool, Arsenal. Mind you, Tottenham about 5 points behind Arsenal and Chelsea about 7 points behind Arsenal. So it's very close.
And if Chelsea did play that season,
one season you drop out or you play shit in one season, that could easily switch it. So I think, it should all come down to coefficiency myself. But is there anything else you want to touch on?
Yeah, so the reason I picked the teams I picked, so it was a lot of things. So wealth in general, like the club's business model behind them. United, obviously, a stable team. Doesn't matter where they finish in the league. I think that it's the biggest club in the world. It's one of the richest clubs in the world, if not the richest. They're the most known football team in the world. You go anywhere in the world, there's someone's wearing a Man United top. You can't say that for every other team in the world. And I think another big thing, I think I did mention Tottenham. I may have took them out actually, but I did say Tottenham in my original one because of this, just the stadium and like the following. I'm not saying Tottenham are a big side, or not a big side, sorry, are like a massive club, but they're built to be a massive club. The way they've got their stadium now, which is insane. Like, I think no one can hate on their stadium. It's the most beautiful thing I've seen. And I think that's what creates the atmosphere of the European. You're playing at the biggest stadiums. You're in the biggest games, So, like, I think stadium plays a part of it. I think the fan base / following, which I touched on before. I think the amount of like social media influence you can have as a club, the amount of fans that buy the shirts, the merch, everything like that. It influences that business model that I think. Let's be honest. It's a business. The European Super League is made for the rich. It's built by the rich, made for the rich. It's a business model to bring more money in, and they don't give a fuck about anything else. All they care about is the money, right? So that's what also I think it is. And I did say form in the league, but after hearing your arguments, I don't think that really plays a part into it. I think, if you finish top 4, you're deserving of it, but it really is dependent on how you play in the...
Well, then you go into the Champions League, then you've got to
prove it. So I do think maybe form in the league does count, but and the only reason I didn't add Chelsea into that team is because he said 4 teams. Now, if I'm picking 4, I don't think Chelsea in it, not because I don't think they're good enough to be in the European Super League. I think they're mighty good enough to be in it, but I think just because of the other things I mentioned, that's why. But to answer your question, Phil, I'd say those 4 teams, and your answer was those 4 teams.
Yeah, exactly.
But to touch on that European Super League, it's like your dad said, it's pretty much is confirmed, and all top 6 clubs have been approached for you guys that didn't know. So Chelsea, Tottenham, United, City, Arsenal, and Liverpool have all been contacted, have all agreed to take part in the Super League. I think bar one, disagreed maybe. I'm not too sure on that, can't confirm that. But I just think this Super League, I don't want it. I don't want it. I know it will happen, but I don't want it. And maybe I'll change my mind. I'm always open to change. I'm a person that grows. Yeah. But I just think it'd be such a boring thing. We have the Champions League already.
It's kind of the same thing, isn't it?
And I think I've read it. They're trying to set up more an American style where it's like a big grand final and it's like a bit different to how it's set up. And there's no VAR and there's only 3 subs, not like the 5 in the European football.
The magic, the beauty, the history of the Champions League.
I don't want to see Chelsea versus Bayern Munich every second weekend. I don't want to see Real Madrid versus Juventus every week. I don't want to see that. I love when it's the odd occasion. I think too much football, you get bored of it.
Don't you just love it when they get drawn in the Champions League and you're like,
oh my God, Marc,
Arsenal, this happened.
Real Madrid. You know what I mean? Group stage.
Rather than every season, it's like, we're going to have to play one of them.
Allow it because there's too much football going on at that point. And I love football, but it's like anything in life. You have too much.
Then you're going to have to get bigger squad depth. You're going to have to.
If you have too much matches, you become a fat cunt. You have too much football, you get bored of it. It's true. You watch too much football, you'll fucking literally be like, oh, okay, I can miss this game this week. Or I will see. Because if you're watching the European Super League, you're like, I don't worry about missing this game. I can see the other game. So I just think it's a bit of a joke, but that's my opinion.
I agree with that as well. I think I think nothing takes away from the beauty of the Champions League, no matter how hard they try and push this and market it. I think it will now have to have bigger squads because you're also thinking about injuries, player fitness. I don't like it myself. I think just why fix what isn't broken? I know it's a money thing, but whether the fans will get behind it or not, I don't think so. We've got the UEFA Super World Cup as well.
The FIFA
We've
Club
got the Europa
World Cup.
League, yeah.
Oh, it's a bit of a joke.
Too many competitions.
How are they going to fit that into a season as well?
At the moment,
they
you've got
teams already.
Yeah, if you finish in the top 5 or 6 at the moment, you've got Premier League, FA Cup, League Cup, UEFA Champions League or Europa League, then potentially adding another 5th competition.
I haven't done insane research on it, but how is it going to fit in? Because will they play it in the off-season? Will it be an off-season tournament where they run it?
I think it plays in the off-season. I'm not too sure.
How are you going to run that in an actual regular 38-game season in the Prem? I don't know. Anyway, I think that's my final answer. Those 4 teams. I think we should move on.
Before we get onto the predictions for next week, I do want to take it off a little bit of schedule. It's only going to be a quick thing, but the UK is going into a second lockdown as of today, which is the 5th of November. I just want to touch, and I know you would as well.
Over there right now.
It's something that people with mental health are going to struggle with as well.
100%.
Not just football-wise, but it's a hard time over in the UK. People not being able to see family.
Yeah, definitely, guys, reach out to people.
So, make sure people reach out to...
Check in on family.
Other people check in, especially if you're not talking to anyone. I know that we're not going to get crowds anytime soon, but I just want to say to people in the UK, if they are listening, football ain't the same without you.
No. I just want to say, stay safe, stay indoors if you have to. I understand it's a bit of a joke at this point. I know, I think everyone feels the same, but it's not just your lives you're affecting other people's lives as well. So you got to be considerate, but at the same time, checking on your friends, even your best mates, your mom, your dad, give them a call, checking on them, see how they're going, because it does suck to be right now, because me and Mark live in a beautiful country in Australia. We're in a beautiful city, Perth, and we have it very lucky. The coronavirus isn't as serious over here. We have no cases for the past 6 months, maybe a couple, but it's not been nowhere near the levels of
bad
the
in the
UK
UK.
and America.
So just stay safe. We're all backing you, and But anyway, you want to get
we'll move on now into a bit of a lighter note. The predictions for next week. So Mark, if you want to get those games up, and we'll get our predictions going.
Okay, let me just. I'm on. Here we go. Right, Brighton versus Burnley.
All right, Brighton 2-0.
I'm gonna say Burnley 1-0.
Ooh, okay. What's made you go with the Burnley result?
I don't know. I think they're
gonna
finally pick a winner.
All right, okay.
I'm gonna go for a Burnley 1-0.
I'm saying 2-0 Brighton.
Go on. Southampton, Newcastle.
2-1 Southampton.
I'm gonna go 2-1 Newcastle.
Okay.
Okay.
It's set in stone now.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Everton United.
I'm happy to be wrong about this, but I'm saying United are gonna win 2-1.
I'm gonna say.
Sorry to explain my answer for those who I've bashed out before. I just think that Ollie will pull it out of the bag again. He always does. He did it against PSG when he was on a flop, so I think he does it again.
This could potentially fuck up my league table. It could either backfire. It could be work wonders for me. I'm gonna say Everton 2-0.
Okay, I respect it.
Leeds Palace.
Ooh, that's a tough game. I'm going to say...
Leeds are 12th, Palace are 13th.
Yeah, I'm going to say 3-2 to Leeds.
I'm going to say 2-1 to Leeds. All right, so Chelsea-Sheffield. What have you got for that?
Oh, Chelsea-Sheffield 4-0. I still get scared saying that result, though, to be fair.
Right, so 4-0. I'm going to go 3-0. I reckon you guys are going to do a hat-trick of 3-0 performances. Right, West Ham United versus Fulham. London derby as well, man.
3-1 West Ham.
Yeah, I'm going to go 2-0 to West Ham. West Brom Tottenham.
1-0 Tottenham.
I'm going to say 2-1 to Tottenham. I think West Brom might get a pen.
Yeah.
Leicester Wolves.
Oh, Leicester 2-0.
I'm going to go 3-1 to Leicester. How have we not even touched on this? I've completely forgotten about this. City Liverpool.
Oh my God, yeah.
I completely forgot. We've been talking so much about Arsenal, Chelsea, and
Ole.
Yeah, we'll cover that next episode. City Liverpool.
Huge game.
City have been low scoring. Liverpool although they haven't had a great defense, they're still pretty strong. I'm going to go, personally,
this is hard.
I'm going to go 3-1 to Liverpool.
3-2 to
3-2 to Liverpool. I think the last game of the weekend, typical on a Monday, 3:15 in the morning. Arsenal, Aston Villa.
Arsenal 2-1.
I'm going to say 2-0 to Arsenal.
Love it. We do appreciate you guys listening. It was a long episode. We've had some couple issues at the end, so we're going to wrap it up nice and quickly. We're going to plug everything. Plug the Instagram. It's at 3 Points Podcast _. Make sure you guys subscribe and like the video and check out us for more content. If you missed the midweek special, go check it out. Apart from that, guys, we do enjoy you guys listening. And yeah, we'll catch you guys in the next episode. Thank you.
Bye. See you next episode, lads. Bye.